My daily life in a TV series. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 751, Can Having Fun Be a Meal? Medical Center, Resident Changing Room. Since being promoted to full-fledged resident, Adam and his friends have moved to a small room. It is no longer filled with rows of lockers, but more like a lounge. The lockers are against the wall. There are also sofas, refrigerators, TVs and other furniture. Adam, did you really give George and his friends the videotapes of the previous study sessions as bedtime readings? Meredith said in disbelief. Yes. Adam smiled and said, they strongly requested it. I can't dampen their passion for the pursuit of knowledge, can I? George is the only one who is enthusiastic? Christina sneered. Anyway, he took all the videotapes. Adam laughed. That should be considered his enthusiasm. Don't you think it's funny? When I came here just now, your little guys thanked me, and then number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4 blocked me and asked about the secret book in a roundabout way. Christina complained. They are so clumsy. They want to learn to fly before they even learn to crawl. Don't say that, Adam advised. When you first came, didn't you want to get into the cardiothoracic surgery operating room and never come out? Since they want to learn, give them a chance. I don't have the time to take care of them. Christina lay down on the sofa, her thighs on the coffee table, picked up a copy of the latest medical journal, and while reading it, she casually said, anyway, the videotapes are all there. If they are interested, they can go and ask George and the others to reproduce it themselves. Can't they reproduce it? They can't order me to do it, right? Of course I don't need you to reproduce it again. Adam smiled helplessly. Before, I asked you to copy it because it was your idea to record the class every night. Basically, you were the one who did it, so I asked you to sort it out and copy it. What else is there to say? Christina shrugged. Your attitude is not good. Adam reminded. You are no longer the intern who studied behind Dr. Bailey. This is a teaching hospital. You are now a resident doctor. If you treat your subordinates number 1234 with this attitude, once the attending doctor sees it, do you think he will treat you with this attitude? After all, you have to learn from the attending doctor. Christina's hand flipping through the medical journal paused and said stubbornly, my medical skills are impeccable. Not necessarily. Adam shook his head. Your level is indeed very good, but it is definitely not to the level that the attending doctor cannot criticize. Besides, he doesn't need to say how good your skills are. Just because your teaching attitude is not good, he can directly drive you out of his operating room. It's useless for you to reason with anyone. But they are too stupid. Christina shouted. No one who can come here to be an intern is stupid. Adam retorted. If they are willing to learn, you just need to teach them patiently. At least give them a chance. If you don't even give them a chance, then you will be the one who suffers and you will naturally be the stupid one. I hate them, Christina said madly. Dr. Bailey hated you just as much back then. Adam laughed. Just imagine, if Dr. Bailey had resolutely refused to give you any chance, how would you feel? Would you still have the opportunity to lie here comfortably today, with a look of disdain on your face, saying that the 4 interns under you who don't even have a name are stupid? The teaching hospital and the teaching system are of great significance. Yes, Meredith advised. Christina, you really need to change your attitude towards interns. Don't be so indifferent. Give them a chance. Christina, haven't you heard? Adam reminded. There are gossips saying that you are the new Nazi, but unlike the professional Nazi of Dr. Bailey, you are the most primitive evil Nazi without any extended meaning. What? Christina threw the medical journal away and glared. Who said that? She had no objection to being called the second Dr. Bailey, because she also respected Dr. Bailey in her heart. But now she is not happy to be called that. You should know the most about gossip and rumors. Adam smiled and said, it's obvious that everyone has seen your attitude towards your interns, and everyone has a scale in their hearts. Although Dr. Bailey was strict with you before and said she hated you, she didn't number you or even take away your names, right? Seeing the big picture from the small, This alone is enough for others to look at you sideways. And I heard that yesterday, you led them to answer even the most basic questions that should have been answered by the interns before your interns. What do you want to do? Do you think you look very knowledgeable? No. In the eyes of the attending doctors, you are completely unruly. If you don't believe me, go and ask Dr. Burke privately. He is your boyfriend. See what he thinks about this. If even he can't stand it and is ready to say something about you, then you should know how others see you. It was the first round of duty before, and your behavior can be regarded as a show of power to your interns. But if you still do this, you will be taught a lesson by other attending physicians with your teaching attitude, and then you will be dumbfounded. Christina was speechless by what Adam said. Hi, good morning. Everyone is here. At this moment, Kelly, the chief resident, pushed the door open and greeted everyone with a smile on her face, especially Adam, who smiled even more. What's the situation? Christina remembered Adam's words in her heart, but she couldn't say it out loud. When she came out of the dressing room, she began to change the subject. Adam, did you moisturize her last night? Christina. Meredith couldn't help but shout. What's wrong? Did I say something wrong? Christina spread her hands and said, if Adam hadn't moisturized her, how could she be so energetic? Don't tell me that she still doesn't know that George was sent by Adam to help Dr. Bailey to sit in the free clinic. It's good that she is not angry with Adam. How can she be so happy? Meredith was stunned, and then looked at Adam in confusion. Don't think about it, Adam complained. Just think about it and you know it's impossible. You all know my principles, especially you, Meredith, you should know better. What do you mean? Meredith's face darkened. Haha. Christina couldn't help laughing. She was Meredith's best friend, so she knew that Meredith had tried to sleep with Adam more than once, but was rejected. I think I know why. Adam didn't want Meredith to lose face, so he quickly changed the subject. It's probably because of George. Although Kelly likes the warm-hearted George, think about Kelly's personality. Kelly is the first person in the medical center to set up her family in the hospital. She is a senior resident and has been doing this for several years. A rich lady who can live such a hard life. When it comes to the pursuit of medicine, she is no weaker than us. When there were two hot candidates, Dr. Bailey and Zuni, she took the initiative to apply and competed on the same stage. In the end, she became the dark horse and counterattacked to become the chief resident. She really likes those who have no medical pursuits and just muddle through. Yeah, why? Christina was also very surprised to hear this, because now she and George are in the passionate period of love, and she is blinded by one thing. Adam laughed. George's appearance and warm personality just touched her. He is simply her dream husband. So she temporarily forgot that George is not ambitious. After a long time, she will be dissatisfied sooner or later, but now George has started to make progress, even if he was forced to do so. But she is already very happy. But this way, George will have little time to accompany her. Meredith couldn't help but interrupt. Haha. Adam and Christina both laughed. Those things between men and women can't even make a living, let alone compare with the pursuit of medicine. Christina said disdainfully, with George's fat body, he can just find a few minutes to solve the problem, and the rest of the time we can discuss medicine together and make progress together, which is more satisfying than anything else. You know, those videotapes of Adam's studies, not to mention her as a resident, even the attending doctors want to collect and watch them. If Adam hadn't insisted on giving them away for free, I would definitely make those who wanted them owe me a few big favors. Kelly got it for nothing. She made a profit. Of course she is happy. Meredith. P.S. There is an event in the evening, so there will be only 2 updates today. Please forgive me. Chapter 752. I'm so mad. Medical Center. Morning. The ward rounds began. Adam and his team each brought 4 interns, followed the attending physician, and went to check on the patients in their respective departments. Dr. Burke glanced at Adam, and Adam glanced at the 4 children who were looking at him with bright eyes, and raised his chin to Lexi. Dr. Gray. When Meredith was not around, Adam would remove the nickname when addressing Lexi in front of the patient. Samantha Jones, 32 years old, early-stage breast cancer, scheduled to have breast-conserving surgery today. Lexi immediately stood up and began to introduce Samantha's condition in detail. This was Adam's patient. Dr. Burke stood aside and did not speak, allowing Adam to start asking Lexi some questions about the details of the operation. The attending physician was just a figurehead on Adam's side. "Very good. It seems you have done your homework." Adam nodded and said, "Dr. Gray, you will be responsible for Miss Jones's preoperative preparation." Although Samantha should not mind whether her doctor is a man or a woman, there are some things that are more convenient for female doctors and female patients. "Yes, Dr. Duncan," Lexi replied. Adam and Samantha said a few words, and then walked out of the ward side by side with Dr. Burke. Christina took 2 steps at a time and walked to the other side of Dr. Burke. Except for Lexi, who stayed to take care of Samantha, the other 3, and Christina's number 1 to 4, followed Adam and the other 2 to inspect the second ward. Those cases that were not handled by Adam were basically handed over to Christina. When Dr. Burke asked, Christina started to answer again, but after a few words, she stopped under the gaze of Adam and Dr. Burke. "Number 3, you talk." Christina could only point at something in a depressed tone. "Dr. Gant, you talk." Dr. Burke glanced at Christina, looked at the nameplate on number 3's chest, and called number 3's official title. "Yes, Dr. Burke." Number 3, Dr. Gant, who was looked at seriously for the first time, and was the boss of the boss, immediately began to talk about the patient's condition with a red face. Adam winked at Christina, meaning, "See, they are not as stupid as you say." Christina just rolled her eyes. Adam smiled and said nothing. This was only the second shift, and the newcomers were still in the stage of cautiously getting in touch with the world, so no matter how good or bad the newcomer's performance was, it was understandable. Even if it was bad, it was easy to understand, because these newcomers didn't know how to look through the medical records in advance and do their homework to answer the questions of the senior doctors. Even if it was good, it was nothing, because these newcomers had not yet become experienced doctors, and it was normal for them to try their best. However, whether this hard-working attitude could be maintained after they were completely familiar with the rhythm of the hospital was the key. After the rounds, Adam took Lexi and George into the operating room to perform breast-conserving surgery on Samantha O'Malley. Dr. Torres is in a good mood today. The operation went smoothly, and when they entered the chat stage, Adam glanced at George standing beside him. Haha. George's mouth twitched a little under the mask, and he obviously didn't want to talk about this topic. "It seems that you worked really hard last night," Adam teased. "Tell us, do you have any problems?" "Dr. Duncan, it's time for surgery now, and I don't want to talk about personal emotional issues." George's eyes were sad and angry, and this is personal privacy. "What emotional problem?" Adam was surprised. "Didn't you watch the study class video with Dr. Tullis last night? Is there no medical problem?" George was embarrassed. "That's not what you meant at all." "That's what I meant." Adam smiled meaningfully. "In addition to studying medicine together and making progress together, what else can make Dr. Tullis so happy?" Lexi, who was an assistant, couldn't help laughing out loud. "Don't resist so much." Adam looked at George, who was embarrassed, and reminded him, "Try to accept it. Maybe your mentality will be completely different. This is better than anything else. You must know Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory, right?" Then he looked at Lexi. "Gray, do you know? Maslow said that the hierarchy of human needs has 5 layers from bottom to top, which is vividly described as a pyramid structure." Lexi immediately said, "The bottom layer is physiological needs, and the upper layers are safety needs, social needs, respect needs, and self-needs. The need for self-worth realization is the highest need." An ancient philosopher in the East said, "If you take the highest, you will get the middle. If you take the middle, you will get the lower. If you take the lower, you will get nothing." Adam smiled and said, "We work hard to study medicine to pursue the highest level of the human needs hierarchy, the need for self-worth realization, and we aim at this highest goal and work hard, even if it is not fully realized in the end. If we take the highest, at least we will get the middle." In modern society, not only the middle is achieved, but also the middle and lower are all covered. Respect, social interaction, safety, and physiological needs are the most basic needs that can be basically solved as long as you want in the process of pursuing the highest self-value realization. Is there anything better than this? In this modern society with great development of productivity, as long as you have a normal skill, as long as you really like it and sincerely use this skill to the extreme, at that time, you will definitely not lack money. And once you have money, you will have everything you need, such as respect, social interaction, safety, and physiology. The future is unpredictable, but compared with the past, this is definitely the most beautiful era. No more, Lexi agreed with admiration. Adam smiled and continued the operation. This theory is only suitable for the daily world. In the fantasy world of the legend of Sword and Fairy, which can generate electricity for love, falling in love can save the world. This originally lowest physiological need has directly become the highest pursuit. The operation ended smoothly. After Adam left the operating room, he saw a group of people gathered in front of a VIP ward and walked over, because this group of people are Dr. Burke, Dr. Shept, Dr. Montgomery, and Dr. Sloan, all of whom are the absolute core of the medical center. "What are you doing?" Adam asked with a smile. "It has nothing to do with you," Mark Sloan mocked. "This is the battlefield for us attending doctors. You are just a small resident, so go do what you should do. The chairman of the hospital is in there." Dr. Montgomery rolled his eyes at Mark and explained for Adam, "He came here to flatter the chairman and wants him to be the chief of surgery." Haha. Adam smiled slightly and said with a double meaning, "Is this okay? I thought the next director was only one of you three, Dr. Burke, Dr. Shept, and Dr. Montgomery." "I think so too," Dr. Montgomery and Dr. Shept said in unison. Dr. Burke smiled but said nothing, but his expression was obviously in agreement. "We plastic surgeons can also change lives." Mark Sloan felt the strong medical contempt chain, and his face suddenly turned very dark. "Who isn't?" Adam looked at Mark Sloan, whose face was starting to turn red. With the same look the dean of the School of Physics looked at Howard. Then he looked away and looked at Dr. Montgomery curiously. "What disease does the chairman have?" "I don't know yet, but I think I can help." "I can help, too." "I can help." "Me too." A group of attending physicians said they were here to help, and Mark Sloan was no exception. But when he spoke, Adam looked directly at him, leading everyone to look at him. "What are you doing?" Mark Sloan said frantically. "What do you mean?" "If I remember correctly, the chairman is Jewish and is already 58 years old, right?" Adam said seriously. "He shouldn't need your help, Dr. Sloan, right?" "Well, no." Everyone smiled playfully, and Dr. Montgomery added directly, "What should be done?" The Jewish circumcision elders had already done it on the 8th day after the chairman was born. "Wait, Mark, maybe you can convert to Judaism and become a full-time circumcision elder in the future. You are the most professional in this area and will definitely be very popular." Mark Sloan was almost mad to death. This is the naked medical contempt chain discrimination, and everyone standing here seems to be qualified to laugh at him, not to mention Dr. Burke and others who are at the same level as him. Even Adam, he can only make a few jokes as an attending physician, which has no lethality. And now Adam's casual counterattack. "I'm so mad." Chapter 753. We are concerned about this. Medical Center. VIP ward. The famous plastic surgeon Mark Sloan was mercilessly mocked by everyone. Adam was passively fighting back. Dr. Montgomery was just annoyed by the scumbag. Dr. Shep's eyes were still green when he looked at Mark Sloan. And Dr. Burke was just suppressing his competitors in a normal way. Beep, beep. Adam's pager rang. "I'll be back later." Adam picked up the pager and took a look. He smiled and said hello to everyone and left. It's not that he wants to compete with these attending doctors for the position of director, but the pager is the director calling him. And looking at the mysterious posture of the chairman, the attending doctors are so excited. The director is looking for him now, probably because he wants him, a doctor who doesn't have the title of attending doctor but has the ability of a famous attending doctor, to be in charge of the chairman. He's so arrogant. Mark Sloan looked at Adam's departing back and complained, "No matter how good he is, he has just become a resident. People who don't know him would think he is already a chief physician. This is too outrageous." "Adam has the ability." Dr. Montgomery laughed and said, If you have the ability, you can compete with him now to see who is more qualified to speak, you, a famous doctor and a chief physician, or him, a small resident. Oh, I forgot. No matter how good Adam is, he can't compare with you in plastic surgery, because he will never be a plastic surgeon. Mark Sloan was speechless in the face of his ex-lover's wanton ridicule. Isn't it just that you said I love you at the beginning, but you are still making the mistakes that all men make? Do you have to do that? Although my body does not belong to you completely, I know my heart is all yours. What else do you want from me? Alas. Women, director's office. Adam, you're here just in time. A special patient has just come to the hospital and needs your care. Come with me to take a look. When the chief surgeon Richard saw Adam, he stood up and walked out. Remember, the patient's condition must be kept confidential. Don't tell other attending doctors. Director, are you talking about the chairman of the hospital? Adam smiled and walked back with him. You know? The chief surgeon was stunned, then laughed at himself. Yes, given your popularity in the hospital, you probably know more than me. I heard it from Dr. Montgomery and others. Adam reminded. Addison, the chief surgeon's voice suddenly rose. No, them? Yes. Adam mentioned the names of Dr. Burke and others. Damn it, the chief of surgery cursed. There really are no secrets in the hospital. Then he asked in surprise, why is Sloan here too? We are all very curious. Adam couldn't help laughing. From what he said, he also wants to compete for the position of your successor, so we are concerned about this. If it weren't for the fact that the current mobile phones don't have camera functions, he really wanted to record the chief's first reaction and send it to Mark Sloan for appreciation. The chief showed a how is it possible expression, and then asked curiously, it's mainly the nurses' anti-Sloan alliance. Adam smiled and said, well, it's the alliance formed by the nurse victims who dated Dr. Sloan and found that they had the same experience after communicating with each other. I heard that they are preparing to launch a website recently to expose Dr. Sloan's ugly face to more people, like the Ted Mosby is a bastard website. The chief of surgery suddenly realized, and seeing Adam's surprised face, he was a little proud. I often go online too. When you get older, you are most afraid of not keeping up with the times and trends, especially in the medical industry and the position of chief of surgery. For those who are just doing administrative work, it doesn't matter whether you are there or not, and you can be easily dismissed. Only those who have enough strength to stand on the prostate of the times will never have to worry about this, because dismissing such people is a huge loss for the hospital. Before the dismissed person left, countless new buyers came to invite him with full sincerity. A perfect template for the protagonist of a cool article. Although it is not as cool as the Dragon King's son-in-law and the Crooked Mouth God of War, it is enough for normal people. Let me ask, if there is a chance, who doesn't want to be the protagonist of such a cool article? Yes, Adam smiled and said, the director is really keeping up with the times. The nurses also got inspiration from this website, but their styles are different. One is like a thief and the other is a robber. And this Ted Mosby is a bastard website has been renamed. It is now called Barney Stinson is a bastard website. Barney Stinson is more routine and is a thief. Mark Sloan is more violent. He relies on his body, face and identity as a plastic surgeon to force evil, and is more like a robber. Why did he change his name? The chief surgeon was surprised. Because this bastard is too cunning. Adam explained, he used his friend's name to cheat people. Of course, he didn't just use his friend's name, he also used many fake names and identities. He even cheated aliens. Thanks to the ever-developing internet, someone discovered his true identity online and made it public. Pretending to be an alien? That's okay? The chief surgeon was stunned. Although he said that he was old but his heart was young, and he had been trying to stay abreast of the times, his vision was limited. Many times he couldn't imagine what the world had become. You never know what these girls are thinking. Adam shook his head and said, these are just the tip of the iceberg. Many women have not discovered that they have been deceived. Some are still waiting for aliens to come back one day to pick them up in a spaceship. Barney Stinson. The chief of surgery whispered the name, then noticed Adam's strange look and immediately explained, I just think this person is too bad. I think it is necessary to remind the girls in our family to remember this name and not be deceived by him. Yes, It is necessary. Adam glanced at the changed hairstyle of the chief of surgery and nodded seriously. Although he knew that the chief had no children, his wife had tolerated him for more than 20 years because he only cared about his hospital and surgery. She couldn't stand it anymore and kicked him out recently and lived with someone else in his house. He changed his hairstyle and went to the old friend bar, ready to return to the battlefield of love. But since the chief said so, it can be said that he is worried that his nephews and nieces will be deceived. It can't be that the chief wants to learn a few tricks, right? The Victims Alliance against Barney Stinson set up a special website to try to expose Barney's evil deeds and keep more women away from this bastard. But there are pros and cons. Many men will be more superstitious about Barney's glorious record, and this also gave Barney a new inspiration. This guy made a lot of fake websites, using them to create a new identity, and then went to the bar to pretend to be a celebrity who didn't want to be recognized and disturbed. When the other party really didn't know him, he said that he got a fake name. In order to prevent these silly girls from remembering, he emphasized it again and again to strengthen the other party's impression. Then he left in style. When the woman was curious and searched on her mobile phone, she saw the false information of these fake websites. As expected, these messages included that this new Barney was a reclusive billionaire who loved adventure and exploration and almost had a Barney Brothers shrinking operation. At this time, Barney, who had left, came back again and confessed to this woman who was lucky to meet a legendary celebrity that he had seen many women but was only attracted to her at this moment, and invited her to have coffee together. Under the continuous impact of this kind of female protagonist cool novel template, how many people can still maintain enough rationality? Most of them will happily agree. Even if this identity is exposed, his great and glorious twin brother still has a chance to appear, replace the evil brother, and make up for, complete, the sin, double, evil, kill. Outside the VIP ward, Adam and the director came over, talking and laughing. Go away, go away. The chief of surgery had a headache when he saw these attendings, and hurriedly drove them away. We are here to help, we know the place, and we will come back after we leave. Dr. Burke and others said one after another. The chief of surgery stared at these persistent attendings under his command, and saw that none of them backed down. Thinking about what they said, he knew that it was useless to drive them away, so he had to treat them as if they did not exist, and took Adam to open the door of the ward. Inside, the chairman of the board of directors of the medical center, a bald old man, was standing there with his back bent. He looked up and saw the director, and breathed a sigh of relief. Richard, I finally see you. But then he saw the group of people who came later. His face suddenly darkened, and he cursed. What are these four monsters doing here? Don't you understand what I mean by discreet confidentiality? Larry, they are the same as me. See if they can help. Richard, the chief of surgery, said helplessly, I will let Dr. Duncan take care of you. Thank you, Adam. The chairman suppressed his displeasure and forced a smile to Adam. My pleasure. Adam smiled back. A bunch of zombies. Seeing that things had come to this, the chairman shifted his gaze from Adam to the four attending doctors who intended to compete for the position of chief of surgery. While cursing, he sneered, well, you all want to be the new chief, right? Then come on. As he said that, he took off his pants in public. Everyone, please, I have something to do tonight, so I will only update 2 times today, and resume 3 times tomorrow. Forgive me. Chapter 754, Aliens arrive at the medical center. VIP ward. Here, the chairman of the hospital board of directors took off his pants in public and said to everyone, whoever can cure this, I will vote for him. As his pants were taken off, the sneer and ridicule at the beginning also faded away, and his tone and expression had become uneasy and eager. The chairman of the New York Medical Center is a big shot, but no matter how big a shot he is, facing this situation, he has become an ordinary person again, because in this situation, no matter how rich and powerful he is, it is useless. He can only look at the doctors' faces and hope that the doctors can save him. Also, those are not grapefruits. Chairman Larry held the cabinet with his hand, added a sentence, and then turned his face away, not wanting people to see his face. Everyone is a doctor, so there is nothing to be embarrassed about. They all stared at this strange disease with their eyes. "It seems that I can't help you with anything." Dr. Montgomery thought of something, sneered, and turned away. "This situation is very much like a scumbag who messes around and causes all kinds of strange diseases." As for Chairman Larry, if he wanted to, this wouldn't be surprising. "It's not what you think." Chairman Larry turned around immediately, raised his hand on his waist, and did jerking to Dr. Montgomery, but he couldn't say anything more, because his female secretary was right beside him, looking at him with love and worry. "No need to explain to me." Dr. Montgomery walked to the door and showed an expression that made the bald man in love call forwarding speechless and choked. After saying that, he closed the door heavily and left. "What are you laughing at?" Chairman Larry's head was almost completely bald, and naturally, like the bald man, he was very sensitive to such things. He immediately glanced at the curve of Mark Sloane's mouth and exploded. "Put away your smile. If you dare to do some operations on me that you shouldn't think of, then I promise that before me, you have to do the operation on yourself first." "I didn't mean that." Mark Sloane stopped laughing immediately and explained hurriedly. "Damn it, he is a plastic surgeon, but he is definitely not icky. Why does everyone think that of him? And he is definitely not the only one with curved corners of his mouth. Why are they targeting him?" "Let's do an examination first," Adam said. "Yes, yes," the chief of surgery quickly agreed. Although they all looked down on Mark Sloane in their hearts, the director did not want to lose him. After all, business is business. Mark Sloane can help the hospital make money. "Larry, please lie down." Adam stepped forward, helped the chairman lie back on the bed, then put on gloves and began to examine. "Pubic tenderness." "Because I haven't urinated for 3 days." Chairman Larry often deals with doctors, and he knows some basic things by osmosis. He directly stated the reason and said madly, 3 days. "It may be a hernia." "Hernias don't do that." "Did you suffer any trauma?" "The steel ball twists and rotates. You have to make 3 sections to make it engorged and become a grapefruit like that." The attending physicians looked at the chairman's miserable brother and began to discuss. "Larry, have you been anywhere recently?" Adam checked around and compared various materials in his mind, and asked, "Especially, have you been outdoors?" "I've been rafting on the Amazon River for the past 2 weeks, said Chairman Larry. "Maybe it's a tropical disease, schistosomiasis, filariasis," Dr. Burke guessed. Dr. Shep nodded. They only knew a rough idea about these things, and could only guess. If they wanted to be sure, they needed to look through professional books and search slowly. The symptoms don't match. Adam shook his head. "Larry, did you go into the water?" "Of course," Chairman Larry said. "Going to the Amazon River is for excitement." "What kind of excitement is it if you don't go into the water?" "But I didn't drink the water of the Amazon River. I still have this common sense." "Yeah." Adam didn't comment. He didn't point out how he didn't drink any water in the river after swimming in the river for 2 weeks. He reminded, "Then did you pee in the river?" "What?" Chairman Larry was stunned. "Of course, it's normal for men to pee while swimming. And this is in the wild?" "In the swimming pool." Adam shook his head. "This is not an ordinary wild place, but the famous Amazon River. There are all kinds of strange things in it. If I'm not mistaken, you should be parasitic catfish." "Parasitic catfish," a group of attending physicians shouted in unison. "Parasitic?" Chairman Larry was even more shocked. "You know, the 4 Alien movies have already been released. When people talk about parasites, they easily think of the scene where the cute little alien bursts out of the stomach and screams with his head raised." Chairman Larry was almost scared to death. Fortunately, the parasitic catfish directly blocked his urethra, so that he couldn't urinate even if he was frightened. In front of all his subordinates, he saved his face. "Adam, are you sure?" After hearing this, the chief of surgery vaguely remembered that there were such records in medical books. The specific situation can only be known by looking up the book, but it should be very rare. "The scene matches." Adam shook his head and said, "There are parasitic catfish in the Amazon River, and these parasitic catfish like blood and urine. They can go upstream along the urine and live in the urethra and bladder of men. These are all real cases. The symptoms are completely matched." but a suprapubic catheter and renal ureteroscintigraphy are still needed to confirm the diagnosis. Well, we must act immediately. He had something else to say. According to the literature, there are not only these cases, but also a man who actually saw this parasitic catfish and tried to reach out and grab it, but the parasitic catfish was too slippery and it still got into him. Parasitic catfish, which are less than 10 centimeters in size, are slender and transparent with a smooth surface. They can quickly parasitize the human body, suck blood, devour organs, and eat the parasitic organisms from the inside out. Moreover, during this process, the victim may still be alive, but unable to resist. In many ways, it is very similar to the alien, especially the white snake in Prometheus, which has not yet been released. It is conceivable how big the psychological shadow area of the man who tried to catch it was. Once this news is told to Chairman Larry. Yes, the chief surgeon also thought of something, and said with a serious face, "Do it immediately." Once the diagnosis is confirmed, surgery will be performed immediately. Is this parasitic catfish terrible? Chairman Larry keenly grasped the emotions of the chief surgeon. If it is a parasitic catfish, it may cause sepsis if it is not removed in time, the chief surgeon explained cautiously. Sepsis? Chairman Larry was stunned. You mean I might die? Sepsis is often associated with death. He just peed in a river in the wild. How could he die? Adam shook his head secretly. Isn't this the excitement you want? This is exciting enough. But looking at Chairman Larry like this, I guess he is just a fool. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 755, Who is the Surgeon? Medical Center. Adam took Chairman Larry to get checked. The attending physicians also left. It was not that they gave up the opportunity to help the chairman win the chairman's most important vote, but they did not know much about the operation to remove the parasitic catfish, so they had to go back and read the books to prepare. The chief surgeon Richard was no exception. They did not have Adam's image memory, nor did they have the energy to read countless medical books and write down all the cases that were rarely encountered. They could only learn and apply. Carter, take this lady to Dr. Montgomery for a physical examination. After the attending physicians left, Adam first glanced at the chairman's female secretary, then looked at the chairman. Larry, do you need to notify Nancy to have a physical examination together? No. Chairman Larry was stunned at first, then understood what Adam meant, slightly tilted his head, and said awkwardly, "She didn't go with you. After I came back, I didn't have time to see her." It seems that the female secretary really went with you, which was part of the excitement. But the legal wife didn't even have the opportunity to collect public grain. To some extent, this can be regarded as a blessing in disguise, because no one knows whether the female secretary who went with them also got the disease and was parasitized by the parasitic catfish. You know, female secretaries are more vulnerable to attack than Chairman Larry. At the Amazon River, before the locals go into the water, both men and women have to wear special pants made of coconut fiber for protection before they dare to go into the water. X-ray room. Make way. Make way. Christina, who got the news, stubbornly pushed aside the crowd of onlookers and squeezed in. Looking at the X-ray film on the computer screen, she couldn't help but exclaimed, "Wow, it's true, I saw the brother fish with my own eyes. It's a scene of parasitizing human brothers." Great. Adam, you must count me in for the operation later. Parasitic catfish, because of this extremely unfriendly characteristic to men, is also called brotherfish. You can speak louder, otherwise the chairman won't hear you. Adam complained, if he hears, he will be touched that his hospital has a doctor like you who is so devoted to medicine. If it's not the patient, it's himself. I guarantee that he will appreciate you very much instead of firing you immediately. Christina immediately looked into the X-ray room with a guilty conscience, and then put her hand over her mouth to keep silent. If she really angered the chairman inside, she would not be as good as Adam and would definitely be kicked out immediately. This is the spine. But after looking at it for a while, Christina couldn't help but step forward and point to the image of the parasitic catfish on the X-ray film and said, "It's incredible." Melendez, notify the director and book the operating room. We need to do the operation as soon as possible, Adam ordered. Yes, the little man agreed and went immediately. Adam walked to the X-ray room, explained the situation to the chairman, and asked for his consent. Notify Nancy. Chairman Larry heard that the operation had certain risks. After a moment of silence, he decided to notify his wife. Exciting to find a secretary lover, but in matters of life and death, one still has to look for his wife. Okay, Adam agreed. At this time, the chief surgeon who had gone back to look up books also rushed over, looked at the X-ray again, and approved Adam's diagnosis. Richard, you will be the main surgeon. Adam, you will be the assistant. Chairman Larry looked at all the doctors. His eyes first fell on the chief surgeon, and then looked at Adam. Adam, it's not that I don't believe in you. You will definitely surpass everyone in the future and become the most legendary one. But at this stage, Richard is still the best surgeon in the medical center, and the surgeon who is most worthy of my trust. Of course. Adam nodded and smiled. The director has always been the best surgeon. As for whether he is better than him, that's another matter. But in this occasion, you have to give the director and the chairman some face. We will help you together. The chief of surgery glanced at the disappointed Dr. Burke and others, and said, Dr. Burke, Dr. Shept, Dr. Bailey, you come too. The best surgeons in the medical center come. At this point, looking at Mark Sloan, who was indignant, he paused and said, Dr. Sloan, you come too. Okay. All the doctors agreed. Although they could not get the most important vote from the chairman, at this moment, everyone else participated in the chairman's favor. Whoever did not participate would immediately fall behind. It's the same mentality as parents. Other families try every means to give gifts to teachers on various holidays. If you don't give gifts, the teacher may not remember the gift giver, but will definitely remember you who didn't give gifts. At that time, even if most teachers will not look at your child differently because of this, you will still worry about this. It's better to be safe than sorry. What if your precious child meets such an unrefined teacher? If you really meet one, it will hurt you 10,000 points. Not to mention that this is a matter of life and death for the chairman. Anyone who does not participate will be excluded in the mind of Chairman Larry. Therefore, even though Mark Sloan was very dissatisfied with the pause of the chief surgeon, he immediately agreed. Even if you stand in the operating room with your hands folded, look at the data on the monitor, and say a few words, you are still participating. Cleaning and disinfection room of the operating room. Dr. Duncan. Carter, how is the examination of that lady? Adam was cleaning and disinfecting when Carter rushed in wearing a surgical gown. Dr. Montgomery has checked her and there is nothing abnormal, Carter said quickly. Very good. Adam nodded. She is very worried about the chairman's condition. Seeing that Adam did not express anything, Carter tentatively asked, Can I follow her into the operating room and tell her the situation in due course? No. Adam shook his head. There are too many people in the operating room. There is no room left. If you want to help her, you can also see her in the observation room. Carter looked disappointed, but when Adam looked at him again, he forced a smile and turned away. Adam shook his head. Before Carter, George had already come here, also wanting to join this rare operation, but the operating room was so small. In addition to the chief surgeon and his assistant Adam, there were 3 attendings and a doctor named Bailey watching and doing odd jobs, as well as 3 operating nurses and anesthesiologists. Add to that Christina, who was determined to join in the fun, and the short Melendez, who was busy with Adam, and there was really no room for him. Even if Carter forced his way in, he would not have any surgical vision at all. It would just be an addition to his resume. However, do interns under Adam need to rely on this to add to their resumes? Chapter 756, Dr. Deng removes parasitic catfish. Medical Center. Observation operating room. A group of famous doctors gathered. The observation room on the 2nd floor was even more crowded. Richard, it's all up to you. Chairman Larry was lying there, saying to the chief surgeon who came over to look at him, Don't worry. The best surgeons in the medical center are gathered here. The chief surgeon nodded, We will try our best." Chairman Larry looked at him and nodded. "Let's get started." The chief surgeon immediately looked at the anesthesiologist. The anesthesiologist began to anesthetize Chairman Larry, and then nodded to the chief surgeon. Okay, everyone, let's get started." The chief surgeon clapped his hands and said, "Try with an endoscope first. If it doesn't work, we will open him up." This is the chairman of the hospital. Naturally, there is nothing to say. First, we will only try with the least harmful endoscope, that is, where this parasitic catfish swam in at the time. Adam and his team clamped it out from there. The reason why I don't have much hope. There are 3 difficulties. The first is that this parasitic catfish is no longer the same one a few days ago. After sneaking in, he ate and drank a lot inside, and his body has expanded many times. It is difficult to return to the original path actively, let alone being pulled out passively by the doctor. The second is that the surface of the parasitic catfish is slippery, and it is in this position, which is difficult to control, which increases the difficulty again. The third is that the parasitic catfish has bundles of spines on its gill cover. After entering the parasite, it will use teeth and spines to pierce the host's tissue and bite it to suck blood. If you want to pull it out, you have to consider how to make it loose in its mouth. The gill cover spines of the parasitic catfish are real spines. Otherwise, he is the chairman of the hospital. He knows how to have fun. He knows how to find excitement. But no matter how difficult it is, you have to try it first. The chief surgeon sat there in the posture of a midwife, holding an endoscope, and started. There is nothing to say about the first step. The chief surgeon smoothly sent the endoscope in from the sneak attack path of the parasitic catfish, and the camera on the endoscope began to display the internal situation of the chairman's body in real time on the big screen. It's just like those classic shots of drilling through the ventilation duct in movies and TV shows. The speed was very slow, but it attracted everyone's attention. "Where are you? Come out quickly." The chief surgeon controlled the endoscope, watching the big screen to guide his movements, and muttered in a low voice. With that look, people who didn't know him would think he was calling a lost pet. "Ah, I found you." After slowly exploring for a while, a white soft body finally appeared in the camera. Unlike the excitement of the chief surgeon and the calmness of everyone in the operating room, many new interns in the observation room on the second floor covered their mouths with their hands, swallowed their throats, and showed disgusted expressions. People with snake phobia turned their eyes away after the soft body moved, and dared not look at it again. "Come on, come out," the chief surgeon muttered while steadily controlling the forceps at the front end of the endoscope to clamp the parasitic catfish, and began to try to pull it back, but it soon failed. "Damn it, it's too slippery." The chief surgeon watched the parasitic catfish sway its body slightly and slip out of the forceps, and couldn't help cursing. "Don't be impatient, take your time," Adam reminded. "Okay." The chief surgeon took a deep breath and tried to catch the parasitic catfish again, but after many attempts, he failed one by one, and there was no progress at all. "Damn it, this won't work." The chief surgeon chose to give up and ordered the nurse, forked stone crusher. "I want to smash it." "Chief, the stone crusher will damage the urethra." Adam stepped forward and smiled. "Why don't you let me try?" "You?" The chief surgeon looked up at Adam, met Adam's reserved and confident eyes, and thought of Adam's ability to create miracles, so he reluctantly gave up his seat. "Okay, you try it. If it doesn't work, we must change the method as soon as possible." "I understand." Adam sat on the main seat for delivery, took the endoscope, and played the game of catching loaches with the parasitic catfish again. But this time, no matter how slippery the parasitic catfish was, it could not escape the fate of being caught by Adam, who could accurately calculate and control the force. "It's clamped. It's clamped. It's starting to pull it out. The catfish can't get out. Dr. Duncan is so amazing." The doctors began to discuss and exclaimed from time to time. Christina and the little guy had already quietly moved to Adam's side, watching this wonderful medical drama of Dr. Duncan pulling out the catfish up close. Compared to the little guy's calm and burning enthusiasm, Christina's eyes were wide open, and she was almost drooling. "If we cut off the head and tail, and make Adam and the others invisible, and just record her current expression, People who don't know would think that the island country is making an action movie. At that time, someone will definitely shout that the Oscars owe Christina Little Golden Man for the Best Actress, no other reason. Christina's eyes at this moment are too vivid. It's out, hiss. Holy crap. Oh ha, when Adam appeared with the catfish, everyone either gasped or made various exclamations, especially the male doctors. Even though Dr. Burke, who had performed countless surgeries and could remain calm even in the face of disasters, and other famous doctors, all changed color slightly, felt uncomfortable, and moved involuntarily. It's almost done, Adam muttered as he slowly and steadily pulled the parasitic catfish out. It's done. Finally, the famous brother fish was taken out by Adam, held in the air, and shown to everyone. This was a 10-centimeter slender soft-bodied creature, which was still twisting after being taken out, and most people's eyebrows jumped. It was quite similar to the feeling in the Alien prequel Prometheus, where the heroine performed a cesarean section on the automatic medical machine and finally used a clamp to clamp out a twisting white soft body. It was just that the alien was missing the fatness and multiple tentacles, as well as the hard shaking scream. Who wants it? Adam admired it for a while, holding the parasitic catfish in his hand, and teased, me. It was just a joke, but no one actually responded, and more than one person. The person who raised his hand immediately attracted everyone's attention. Christina. Dr. Burke looked at Christina, who raised her hand in disbelief. I just think this kind of thing is very warning. Christina shrugged innocently. If it is placed by the swimming pool and used as a display cabinet, let's see who dares to secretly pee in the pool. Ahem. I think so too. The anesthesiologist and a nurse immediately agreed. The nurse's thoughts are unknown, but everyone knows the anesthesiologist's thoughts, because the other party likes to collect all kinds of strange things taken out of the patient's body, and then sell them. It is not a rare news in the hospital. Don't think that no one will buy them. In the world of American dramas, the existence of all kinds of strange things has created all kinds of strange hobbies. Once you encounter a rare thing, selling it to the most wanted strange thing is also a considerable income. This is really not a joke. If the patient of today's operation was not the chairman of the hospital, but a star, Adam believed that it would definitely not be 3 people who wanted it, but most people would compete for it. Chapter 757. Taking the opportunity to rage at the medical center. In the operating room, Adam was holding up the parasitic catfish and teasing it. He didn't expect that someone would actually want it. He didn't know who to give it to for a moment. Fortunately, Dr. Bailey helped Adam out. Adam, you need to ask the person involved about this, Dr. Bailey said sarcastically. Maybe our chairman still wants to keep it. This is an unusual experience. And even if the chairman doesn't want it, the chairman's wife waiting outside probably wants it. Yes, the nurse who raised her hand immediately echoed. This is a good souvenir. The male doctors looked at each other and were speechless. Okay, put it away first, and ask Clary and Nancy later, and then decide what to do with it. The chief of surgery made the decision. Also, remember not to pee in the wild river in the future, especially the Amazon River. Everyone nodded. After this operation, who else would dare to do this? It's so disgusting and creepy. The key to the operation has been solved by Adam with the memorable feat of Dr. Dane pulling out the parasitic catfish, and the rest is not difficult. Did I miss anything? At this time, Meredith, wearing a surgical gown, washed and disinfected, hurried in. She smiled at the eyes of everyone, walked to Christina, and asked in a low voice, "Is it started?" "Started?" Christina smiled and said, "It's over. You missed a brilliant chapter in the history of medicine." At this point, she stretched out her thumb and index finger and skillfully gestured a Michaelis birth chart, just like Phoebe did at the beginning. "Do you see that thing? That's a parasitic catfish." It is indeed a Michaelis tradition, and everyone understands it. "It's over? So soon?" Meredith was stunned. She had something to do before, so she came here at a tight time. She thought it had just started, but who would have thought it was over? However, following Christina's gesture, she saw the ironclad evidence, and then she was sure that Christina was not teasing her. "You'll know when you watch the video of the operation." Christina smiled proudly. "I guarantee that it will open your eyes." Unfortunately, The video is just a video, and it's definitely not as shocking as watching it in person. And I was standing next to Adam just now, so I had the best view. Let's not talk about Meredith's shock and regret. The operation was over soon. Adam and the chief of surgery left the operating room and met the chairman's wife Nancy, who was waiting outside. The female secretary, who was checked to be uninfected, stood in the distance, holding a mobile phone, pretending to stand there and make a call, but her eyes were always staring at the side. Compared with the uncontrollable worry of the female secretary, although Nancy still worried about her husband, she was much calmer, and occasionally looked at the female secretary over Adam and the other person with disdain. The operation was successful. At the signal of the chief of surgery, Adam briefly introduced the operation process. "Richard, Adam, thank you." Nancy did not thank God first like other family members, but thanked the doctor first. "I won't talk about the chief of surgery. He was able to take the position because of the support of Chairman Larry. The relationship between the two sides has lasted for decades, and they are close friends." As for Adam, he had met the chairman's family at a high-class banquet before because of his billionaire fortune. Later, when Adam was a medical intern in his junior and senior years at the medical school, he was introduced by Leonard and officially connected with the chairman's family. After Adam graduated from the medical school, he came to be an intern and donated a large sum of money to build a new laboratory. Naturally, he was specially invited by the chairman to attend the family dinner. Both sides were very polite and addressed each other by name when they met. "You're welcome. This is what we should do." The head of surgery and Adam responded modestly. They exchanged pleasantries for a while. Adam and the head of surgery were about to leave. "By the way," the chairman's wife Nancy stopped them, "is the thing that was taken out still there?" Adam and the head of surgery looked at each other and could see the strangeness in each other's eyes, but Adam still answered, "Yes." "Can I take it away?" Nancy said lightly. "This is something that came out of my husband's body. I think I should take it as a souvenir." "Of course." Adam nodded. "Suosia," Nancy called out coldly behind Adam and the female secretary came over. "The operation was successful. Go and get the thing that was taken out," Nancy said expressionlessly. "Show it to me, and then find someone to make it into a work of art and put it in my husband's office. Every time he sees it, he will remember one thing: don't play around." "Yes." The female secretary shuddered and agreed with her head down. "Excuse me." After the female secretary left quickly, Nancy said to Adam and the chief surgeon, "If I don't find something for her to do, I'm afraid she will have a mental breakdown. I don't want to take care of my husband's pet at this time." Nancy, the chief surgeon, didn't know what to say. "Oh, of course I know," Nancy sneered. "Richard, you should know that. Your wife always knows." The chief surgeon immediately looked away unnaturally. Adam looked at her nose and her heart. He understood what Nancy meant. The director's family and the chairman's family are close friends. Looking at Nancy like this, it is clear that she has known about the little things between the female secretary and her husband for a long time, but she has been forbearing. The director of surgery also had affairs with Meredith's mother, Alice Gray, before the director was kicked out of the house by his wife. The director's wife came to the hospital and wanted the director to retire for the last time and focus on the family, but the director ignored her as usual because he was busy with work. Meredith, who came to call the director, felt a little embarrassed and comforted him. The director's wife talked to Meredith for a while, saying that she had watched Meredith grow up since she was a child, and then said in a calm tone that her husband liked to tease Meredith's mother. Whenever she saw this, she left and went to see Meredith, who was still a lonely little girl at that time. The director's wife also said this: "Wives always know." Then she didn't say the second half of the sentence. Will they choose to say it or not? The chairman's wife and the director's wife obviously talked about these topics together, and they both chose to endure it. How does that sentence go? Men will make mistakes, and for me, it's good to go home. Sure enough, there is no racial difference in this world. There are only class differences. Just like the class, the various things you do and the various choices you make always lead to the same end. Adam left the chairman's wife, who saw through everything and regarded the mistress as a pet animal. Life, and also separated from the chief of surgery, who left in a hurry with an unnatural expression. It was lunchtime. Adam came to the cafeteria. Adam, Christina, and Meredith sat at the same table as usual, eating while chatting about surgery and gossip. "What did you do?" Mark Sloan came over and slammed a medical record book on Adam's table, shouting, "Do you know how to work? You can't even do such a small thing? What's wrong?" Meredith was confused. "If you have something to say, just say it." Adam frowned, although he knew that Meredith had probably done something wrong. Mark Sloan's attitude clearly meant that he wanted to take the opportunity to vent his anger on him. Chapter 758. I won't spoil you. Medical center. Cafeteria. What happened? Meredith couldn't help asking. What else could it be? Mark Sloan sneered at Meredith. I only asked you to do one small thing this morning. Even a rookie intern can do this kind of thing. But you messed it up. In the end, if you didn't rely on connections, you should be the one who should do your internship again. Meredith's face flushed, but her reason made her afraid, and she said in disbelief, Are you saying that there was a problem with notifying the patient in Ward 5513 that she was dying this morning? The medical record is there. Look carefully. Mark Sloan said coldly. It was patient 5512, and it was him, not her. You told a woman who came to remove a mole that she was dying. Adam took the medical record and looked at it. It was indeed patient 5512, but the last 2 was written with a slight hook, which looked a bit like 3. In this respect, Mark Sloan also had problems. The medical record he wrote was really flamboyant and not formal enough, which gave others a misconception. However, the mistake Meredith made was too low level. If she was unsure, she should have confirmed it with Mark Sloan instead of going there on a whim. Therefore, Adam had no intention of speaking for Meredith. At this moment, even if he was a little unhappy with Mark Sloan's behavior of taking the opportunity to get angry, it would not undermine his power as a senior doctor to reprimand junior doctors who made mistakes. As Mark Sloan said, even interns can do such trivial things well. Meredith, a formal resident, made a mistake and deserved to be reprimanded. You know, this is a mistake that could cost someone's life. If Adam spoke up, even if he just pointed out that Mark Sloan also had problems with improper handwriting, it would greatly reduce the depth of Meredith's lesson. Friends are friends. Rules are rules. Helping a friend at this time would hurt her. Therefore, when Adam saw that Christina also noticed that there was something wrong with the handwriting of 2 and 3 and wanted to speak, he immediately kicked her and signaled her with his eyes not to speak. Although Christina felt sorry for her best friend, she held back after Adam's suggestion. She just looked down at the medical records and didn't fight back. Norman, I'll go explain to her now. Meredith wanted to say that it was the fault of her intern Norman, but she swallowed the words back. Because she was in full charge of the interns under her, it was her responsibility if anything went wrong. And it was she who took the intern named Norman with her. It was just because she was anxious to attend the chairman's parasitic catfish surgery that she asked Norman to take the medical records and hurriedly announce the news. Norman was assigned the position according to the medical records, but she should have verified it at the time. Too late. Mark Sloan glanced at Adam and sneered. Wouldn't I have gone to explain to her immediately after I found out about this? She has already left the hospital and her phone is unreachable. God knows if she was upset by this thunderbolt. Just hope that nothing happened to her. Otherwise, it's all your fault. I'll go find her now. Meredith got up and ran out. She had to find her even if she couldn't find her. What if she committed suicide? This is an innocent life. Hey! After scolding Meredith, Mark Sloan didn't leave. Instead, he pulled a chair and sat down, looking at Christina with an angry look on her face and Adam with an indifferent expression. He sneered, the current resident doctor. If it was us before, this person would never have become a resident doctor. Dr. Duncan, what do you think? I agree. Adam nodded. With the level Meredith showed, she was indeed far from a professional resident doctor. It's not that her professional skills were not good, but her attitude was not good. Even after a year of training, she no longer made the stupid mistake of not paying attention to her nails and piercing the patient's heart, but it was still speechless enough that she made such a ridiculous mistake when she was supervising an intern for the first time. She is just like the old guy under her, Both are naive and inexperienced new interns. Mark Sloan leaned back and said sarcastically with a smile on his face, "The only difference is that she slept with Derek, and he is your friend." "Don't forget to tell the director these words," Adam said lightly. "I think he will be interested. He may agree with your integrity and recommend you as the next chief of surgery." When Mark Sloan's face darkened, Adam continued, "Oh, by the way, it's better to tell him now, because the chairman's operation was successful and everyone is very happy. You have also made a significant contribution to the chairman's recovery. If you tell him now, maybe the chairman will appreciate you and give you his most important vote. The director and the chairman both favor you, and you are sure to be the next chief of surgery. Those who should be scolded have been scolded, and Meredith has left." Now Adam doesn't need to spoil Mark Sloan anymore. Christina looked at Mark Sloan, whose face was as black as coal, and felt so happy in her heart, but she still politely lowered her head, covered her mouth, and tried her best to hold back the urge to laugh. She was present during the chairman's operation. The main force was Adam and the chief of surgery. Dr. Burke could also observe the heartbeat and remind the chairman of his heart status from time to time. Dr. Shep did the same thing, reminding the brain status. Dr. Bailey always followed the chief of surgery, and many operations were led by the chief of surgery. Therefore, the chief of surgery liked to bring Dr. Bailey with him when he performed any operation. Although Adam was there this time, she was also busy running around, which was equivalent to the second assistant. Mark Sloan was just like those people who were just watching the fun. He stood there with his arms folded, except for the various exclamations of "holy shit" and "uck" from time to time. He really didn't help at all. And Meredith's biggest backer was not that she had slept with Dr. Shep, but that her mother had slept with the chief of surgery. In his eyes, Meredith, who has no children, is not much different from his daughter. His own daughter should be reprimanded, but if it is a reprimand like Mark Sloan's, which is obviously exaggerated and humiliating, that is another matter. Mark is indeed very powerful and capable, and can make money. But strength and platform have always been the two indispensable feet of a successful person. Once the chief of surgery is irritated and forced to do his best, Mark will be kicked out of the New York Medical Center, which will also be a great blow to Mark's career. You know, there are only two best places for plastic surgeons in the United States. One is Los Angeles in the West, the other is New York in the East. These two places are full of rich people and are a paradise for plastic surgeons. Mark came from Boston not only because of Dr. Montgomery and because he slept with his tennis partner's wife to avoid his tennis partner who bought a gun, but more importantly for his career. And the medical center is the best hospital in New York. Help your friend clean up his ass first. Mark Sloan couldn't sit still any longer, so he stood up with a dark face, left a word and turned away. "See you at the seminar tomorrow." Adam's leisurely voice came from behind, causing Mark Sloan to pause. Then Mark Sloan left without even turning his head, looking even worse. Chapter 759, A Shocking Statement at the Sleepless Night Medical Center. Cafeteria. "Are you serious?" After Mark Sloan left, Christina stared at Adam with her eyes wide open. "What's real or fake?" Adam chuckled. "It's all for work." "Yes." Christina stretched out her hand and clenched her fist, her expression very excited, and stood up to leave. "Where are you going?" Adam said with a smile. "I'm going to buy some delicious snacks and drinks now, and we'll eat together at the seminar tomorrow," Christina said happily. "I can't wait for tomorrow's exciting scene." Then she left. Adam laughed dumbly. The seminar, also known as the Patient Death Seminar, is held once a month in the medical center. It aims to analyze and discuss the causes of patients who die in the medical center every month, so that doctors in the hospital can gain knowledge and avoid the same mistakes. Because only attending doctors and senior residents are qualified to perform a certain operation. Therefore, only attending doctors and senior residents are on stage to introduce the causes of patients who died of ineffective surgery. After introducing the condition, it was the turn of the most exciting discussion session. That is, all doctors present, whether they are attending doctors, residents, or interns, can raise their hands to ask questions as long as they have questions. These questions are generally very sharp and go straight to the soul. If the cause of the patient's death is the fault of the presiding doctor, It will definitely be a nightmare meeting for the doctor who is on stage to preside over this medical record discussion. When Christina was an intern, she especially liked this seminar, because it was the best opportunity to see those bosses and bosses of bosses make a fool of themselves once a month. Every time she was the most active in raising her hand to ask questions, because she was good at doing homework in advance. She often asked questions that made others embarrassed. Later, Mark Sloan came. Christina saw that Adam didn't get along with him, and kept tempting Adam to ask questions, but Adam ignored them all, because there was no need. In Adam's eyes, a seminar should be a pure seminar, and it should not be used as an opportunity to attack others at will, even if it was Mark Sloan. As long as he didn't make obvious mistakes, Adam would not nitpick and deliberately make things difficult. Now, Adam felt that the other party was a little bit arrogant and deliberately targeting him, so he decided to give a friendly reminder. That's it. Not to mention the excited Christina and Adam who left after saying it. Mark Sloan, who walked away, fell into infinite entanglement because of Adam's last sentence. Because last month he also had a patient who died during surgery, so theoretically, he would also go on stage. And looking at Adam like this afternoon, Mark Sloan was not in a working state, and his mind was full of thoughts about the last death case. It was not easy to make it to the end of the night. He thought he had done a comprehensive review of the case and did not find any problems. Mark let out a long sigh, left the office, and returned to the high-end apartment he rented. As usual, as soon as he entered the door, he took off his coat, opened the whiskey, poured it into the glass, and rang the apartment's phone message. "Mark, this is Lauren. Call me back, beep." "Hi, Mark, this is Michelle. We met at the stand-up pharmaceutical conference. Anyway, I want to buy you a drink, so call me back, beep." "Mark, this is Tina. Are you free tonight? My husband is not at home. I promised you last time. Please come over as soon as possible, beep." "Dr. Sloan, this is Mandy. I think there is something wrong with the implant you gave me last time. Can you come over to help me adjust it? I'll be waiting, beep." Various women kept leaving messages. Mark picked up the wine glass, took a sip, and a satisfied smile appeared on his face. Just as he was thinking about who to favor tonight, Adam's voice suddenly appeared in his ears. "See you at the seminar tomorrow." Damn it, Mark instantly lost the mind to flip the cards. In a rage, he pressed the clear button to clear all these tempting voices and collapsed heavily on the sofa. "I'm not wrong. Duncan can't find fault with it," Mark muttered to himself. Although he muttered like this, he never got excited and had the intention of going out to show his prowess, because the other person is Adam Duncan. When he was a first-year intern, he was rumored to be the attending intern, and it was spread by the legendary Dr. Alice Gray, and then he quickly gained the recognition of most people. The first time they met, Adam's super learning and hands-on ability made him very afraid. After coming to the medical center, seeing Adam's various magical things, Mark had unconsciously recognized Adam as a non-attending doctor, and a very powerful attending doctor. When they met, he subconsciously took an equal attitude and only dared to mock him verbally, not daring to use his status as an attending to pressure others. Although he repeatedly reviewed his surgery, he thought there was no problem and was not afraid of anyone asking questions from a professional perspective. But when this person was Adam Duncan, he could not feel at ease, because he had seen Adam's super memory and super theoretical knowledge. What if Adam questioned him from an angle he had never considered? Even if it was proved that there was nothing wrong with him doing so. But if he was questioned by Adam from a professional perspective and was dumbfounded, he didn't know how to answer. In that kind of situation, he lost, and it was a particularly embarrassing one, because even if everyone recognized that Adam's strength was not weaker than any attending physician, but it was not as shocking as when Adam, as a first-year resident, challenged the attending physician's professional field under the spotlight, confronted the attending physician head-on, and then questioned the attending physician to the point of being stunned. Because Adam had never done this before, he basically never spoke at the seminar, so as not to embarrass others. And now he, Mark Sloan, seemed to be the first one. Damn it. At this moment, Mark Sloan was extremely regretful. Why did he tease Adam for no reason? "I still don't believe it. You are really this strong." Mark Sloan collapsed on the sofa, thinking and thinking, sometimes excited, sometimes worried, and sometimes depressed. In short, he was restless. In the end, he had to drink to relieve his sorrow and wanted to sleep. He had to go to work tomorrow, face this damn seminar, and face the challenge of Adam Duncan. But after drinking one glass after another, lying drunk on the bed, he still couldn't fall asleep. The possible scenes at tomorrow's seminar stimulated him all the time. "I'm Mark Sloan, the best plastic surgeon on the East Coast. How could I lose to a resident in cardiothoracic surgery in my specialty?" Mark stared at the ceiling with his eyes open, muttering to himself, "No, no." In the early hours of the morning, he couldn't stand it anymore, so he got up and left the apartment, returned to the hospital, and re-entered the new round of review. P.S. Thanks to the book friend 20200330175008550 for the reward. Chapter 760, Each Generation is Stronger Than the Previous One. Medical Center. A new day has begun. When Adam just arrived, the 4 children gathered around him and actively accepted instructions. Although they were like this before, but today everyone is particularly active. "Have you heard about it?" Adam stood in front of the nurse's station, flipping through the latest medical record summary, and looked up at them. "Yeah," everyone responded in unison. "This is the first intern among you who was persuaded to quit." Adam smiled and said, "But it is definitely not the last one. Now you know that even writing medical records to notify the condition is not that simple, right?" "I know." The 4 people spoke in unison again. But Lexi's voice was particularly loud, because Adam assigned the job of notifying the condition to her and the little guy. The little guy always completed Adam's orders without any discount. She had no objection before. Now there will be even less. It was only the second shift, and one of the new batch of interns was persuaded to quit. And it was because of such a ridiculous and terrible reason. The intern named Norman who followed Meredith was in his 50s. He used to work as a pharmacist for 30 years, and suddenly wanted to be a surgeon when he got old. If you have a dream, chase it. With his savings over the years and his experience in the medical industry, he successfully completed his medical school studies and became an intern. But old people are different from young people. First of all, they are obviously less energetic. Young people can do this kind of 36-hour shift. Maybe they just need to hold on. After a break, they can be full of energy again. But an old man in his 50s, who is used to being idle, suddenly doing such high-intensity work, how can he bear it? Not to mention that after the first round of 36-hour shift, only 12 hours had passed and a new round of shifts began. Norman couldn't recover at all. So when he was at work, he was absent-minded and slacking off. He was in his 50s and wore a white coat. When others saw him, they thought he was a senior attending physician. Even if they saw him like this, they would not think much, just thinking he was a master. Meredith, who took care of him, was also an absent-minded resident who was in love. Even if he wanted to say something to him sometimes, how could he be so cruel as to scold him when he looked like a father or grandfather? As a result, this weird thing happened without paying attention. After the incident, Meredith was ready to repeat Mark Sloan's steps, that is, to make various phone calls. It was only after Adam reminded her that she left the hospital and went to the apartment of the misdiagnosed female patient. After a lot of busy work, finally, she waited for her in the other party's apartment. While Meredith breathed a sigh of relief, he was stunned by what happened next. It turned out that this misdiagnosed female patient came here to remove her mole but was suddenly notified that she would not live long. Under the thunderbolt, like most people, she had the idea of having fun before death. After working as a social animal for so long, she couldn't be a worker before she died, right? So the female patient decisively went to the company and confronted the manager who had been bullying her and the colleagues who had been snitching and laughing at her. It was as fun as it could be. Then she returned the apartment, broke up with her boyfriend, and took advantage of the news not being made public to apply for various credit cards, ready to reap a lot, use the money to fly abroad, and enjoy the rich life that she had never enjoyed in her life. Just as she had gotten everything done at an astonishing speed, and returned to the apartment, ready to pack up and leave, she saw Meredith waiting for her, and was told that it was just a mistake. Don't mention how devastated she was at that time. The worst thing in the world is that the person is still alive but the money is gone. This female patient is still alive, but everything is gone. At this time, the chief of surgery, who learned the news, called Meredith and asked her to take the female patient back to the hospital immediately and find a lawyer to reconcile with the female patient who had not yet reacted. Then the female patient returned to the excited state of knowing that she was going to die and was ready to have a final good time. She smiled and thanked Meredith, who looked embarrassed, because the chief of surgery compensated the female patient with a large house on behalf of the hospital, 4 rooms, 3.5 bathrooms. There was also some cash compensation, which was enough to make the frightened female patient satisfied and give up suing the hospital. But the hospital suffered a great loss, and someone had to take responsibility. The first person responsible was naturally Norman, the intern. The second person responsible was Meredith, the teaching resident. Norman, who had worked as a pharmacist for 30 years, was well versed in the ways of the world. When he saw the chief of surgery talking to him, he decisively said that it was all his responsibility and had nothing to do with Dr. Gray. He also asked to end his internship and leave the hospital. First, if he didn't know what was good for him, even if he wasn't fired, he would be severely punished, and there would be no point in staying. Second, after experiencing the high-intensity shifts and encountering such a bad thing, his dream of being a surgeon was awakened. And his dream of being a psychologist was awakened, because he felt that young people like Meredith had too many psychological problems and needed a good psychologist with life experience to counsel them. Psychologists have a lot to do. No matter what Norman planned, as a member of the new batch of interns, he left before he could make it through the second shift. Alex, who was the first to be persuaded to leave last time, held on for several months. It's true that each generation is stronger than the previous one. The impact of this incident on the new batch of interns can be imagined. The state of the 4 children was already restrained. The rest of the interns were as hard-working and dedicated as they could be. They wished that the words hard-working and dedicated were written all over their faces, fearing that they would be the next interns to be persuaded to leave. Because according to convention, 2 interns would be persuaded to leave. 1 left, and 1 more left. Normally, everyone should be relieved. After all, the proportion of those persuaded to leave has decreased. But the fact is just the opposite. Because seeing is believing. Since you know everything, then pay attention to it. Adam smiled and said, I don't want to see you being persuaded to leave or being abandoned. George's mouth twitched. Just say it. Why are you only looking at me? The rounds are over. Hurry up. The seminar will start soon. Let's grab a good seat. Christina came over with a bunch of snacks and drinks, and the listless Meredith, urging Adam to go over. You are too high profile. Adam was helpless. This is not a popcorn movie. The resident doctor goes the famous doctor. This plot is much more exciting than a popcorn movie. Christina's eyes lit up and said, Adam, I support you. Kill Sloane. Dr. Duncan, can we go over? Lexi couldn't help asking. Of course. Christina hoped that the more people there were, the more lively it would be, and continued, as long as you have nothing to do, you can go over and participate, and discuss together. Okay. Adam glanced at the 4 children who were looking at him eagerly, and nodded. The patient's cause of death seminar is a bloody lesson. You must listen carefully and remember it in your heart. Yes. The 4 children agreed in unison. Adam, come over. When everyone walked to the door of the large conference room, Adam was stopped by the chief of surgery standing at the door. I have something to tell you. Okay. Adam was stunned, smiled and agreed, and followed the chief of surgery. Damn it. When Christina saw it, she cursed in disappointment and stuffed the snacks and drinks in her hand into George's hand. What's wrong? George hadn't reacted yet, just opening his hands to take the things. Don't you understand? Today's big show is probably over. Christina rolled her eyes and walked in weakly. Chapter 761 I beat you every time I see you. Medical Center. On the overpass between the 2 buildings, the chief of surgery stopped, looked at Adam, and said helplessly, Adam, let Mark go. Chief, you know everything? Adam laughed. There are no secrets in the hospital. The chief of surgery shook his head. If I don't know such explosive news, I would be derelict in my duty. Chief, you know me. Adam spread his hands and said, I always give people face. I know. The chief of surgery nodded repeatedly. I know the cause of the matter. It was that guy Mark who took advantage of Meredith's negligence and got angry and included you. We have always disliked each other. Adam smiled. I thought we would never meet again, but who would have thought that you, the chief, brought him in? I know he can make money. And business is business. So even if he inspired the nurses to form the Sloan Nurses Union, as long as he didn't make any professional mistakes, I didn't bother with him at work. Yeah, the chief of surgery nodded. Adam, you are indeed the most generous and professional. If it were someone else, it would be impossible to do better than you. But my generosity and professionalism don't seem to be respected by him. Adam smiled. I feel that he still likes to target me. He respects you, the chief of surgery quickly comforted. I promise. At this point, under Adam's gaze, he couldn't say anything more, so he could only tell the truth. Even if he doesn't respect me, he will be in awe. You don't know that just because of your words, he was busy all night, preparing to deal with your criticism of him at the seminar. That's good. Adam smiled. Isn't the purpose of the seminar just for this? Remember the lessons and gain knowledge. The chief of surgery paused, and smiled bitterly. Adam, you know what I mean. I have never seen a resident as talented and capable as you. If you want, I have no doubt that you can find fault with anyone from an angle that we can't imagine. But this goes against the purpose of the seminar. We are here to remember the lessons, not to find fault for the sake of finding fault. What you can think of and do, 99% of doctors can't do. And Mark is a famous doctor after all, earning a lot of income and fame for the hospital every year, which is good for everyone. Once you slap him in the face in public to vent your anger, it will cause unbearable damage to his psychology. At that time, he will most likely not be able to stay and will choose to leave. This is a major loss to the hospital. That's easy. Adam interrupted. We can remind him that there are only 2 good places for plastic surgeons to go. Even if he leaves and goes to Los Angeles, I will visit him often. Instead of that, it's better to save some trouble and stay. It doesn't matter if there is a psychological shadow. If there is a disease, treat it. There is nothing that cannot be treated. The chief of surgery twitched his mouth. You are really a little smart guy. If you do this, this is not just a psychological shadow. It is simply an endless nightmare. I think Dr. Sloan should apologize to you for his bad attitude before. The chief of surgery said seriously. Adam, what do you think? That's possible. Adam glanced at the chief of surgery, and nodded after a pause. The other party didn't do anything, just a few words of nonsense, and a slap in the face was enough to let the other party apologize. Besides, the chief has this attitude, so there is no need to pursue it. Adam has always been a generous and tolerant person. Giving face to others is giving face to yourself. Of course, the premise is that Mark apologizes sincerely. The chief surgeon breathed a sigh of relief and continued walking forward with Adam to the chief surgeon's office. Adam, wait outside for a moment. The chief surgeon smiled helplessly. Okay. Adam agreed. He had to communicate with the other party first. He knew this. The chief surgeon pushed the door open and closed it. In the gap between the door opening and closing, Adam and Mark Sloan, who was sitting inside, looked at each other. Compared to Adam's smile, Mark's face was very ugly. A few minutes later, the door opened. The chief surgeon waved to Adam and said, Adam, you can come in. Both of you sit down. The chief surgeon tried to smooth things over, saying, we are all colleagues. If you have anything to say, you can talk about it. Don't let everyone know if there is any unpleasantness. That's not good. Adam and the other person didn't say anything. Ahem. Seeing this, the chief surgeon coughed lightly, looked at Mark, and reminded him, Mark, don't you have something to say to Adam? Seeing this, Adam also looked at Mark, waiting for his sincere apology at ease. There was nothing wrong with the operation I performed. The patient's death was force majeure. Mark was confused. I don't believe you can really find fault with it. Let's discuss it at the seminar later. Adam raised his eyebrows. No need to do that. The chief of surgery interrupted tiredly. You can talk about it now. Adam, can you speak out so that I can learn from you first? You are too polite. Chief, seeing that Mark would not cry until he entered the coffin, Adam was happy to give the chief face. I just have some immature ideas. Chief is the best surgeon. Please give me some advice. So, Adam began to talk about his thoughts on the operation on Mark Sloan's patient's death. Of course, he did not talk about the latest case this month. He talked about the case in the previous few months. The novel angle and complete discussion made Mark's face change greatly, because if Adam asked him this question at those seminars, he would definitely be dumbfounded. It was like this before. And at this seminar, he naturally would not think that Adam was just talking casually, thinking about the news that the head of surgery had just revealed to him. Yes, no, Mark Sloan spoke with difficulty. Damn it, how could there be such a great genius in the world? He could really give professional advice to him, the most powerful plastic surgeon on the East Coast, as a first-year resident. If he didn't apologize, not to mention that he would lose face at the seminar, he would be unable to avoid it after leaving the medical center. As long as Adam was determined to target him, no matter where he went, he would be shrouded in the nightmare scenario that Adam might come to his door at any time and ask him in public. At that time, would a famous doctor who was always questioned and slapped in the face still be a famous doctor, especially in their field of plastic surgery? All patients who want plastic surgery want to find the world's #1 plastic surgeon to perform the operation on them. If Adam comes a few times, Mark will fall from the altar even if he doesn't lose his job. And the difference between a top famous doctor and an ordinary plastic surgeon is completely different. As for whether Adam just said it casually, he won't hold a grudge. Mark judged others by himself. The answer is number. Otherwise, how could Adam come up with such a cruel idea? No one would be so boring. After confirming that Adam really had the ability and was indeed very scary when he was cruel, Mark was completely out of temper. As the chief of surgery advised him, Adam is destined to be a legend, and most likely a legend among legends. Do you want to be permanently written into this legendary medical history as a ridiculous villain? Forget it. He did what he wanted. Adam was also okay. Otherwise he could have made him lose face before. It was completely him who provoked the conflict before. Thinking of this, he felt much better and his apology attitude became much more sincere. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 762. That's right, I'm talking about you. Medical Center. Conference Hall. The monthly patient death seminar is in progress. Dr. Duncan hasn't come yet. Lexi looked at the door and muttered, "Don't look, he can't come." Christina threw a potato chip into her mouth in a bored manner and complained, "Didn't you see that Sloan didn't come either? He must have been called by the director to resolve the conflict. This is the hell of life. A good show is completely ruined." Christina, Meredith advised, "They are all colleagues. Don't gloat over the misfortune. It's best if Adam and Mark don't fight. Don't forget that the chairman is still hospitalized in the hospital. If he sees it, the director will be embarrassed." "What's there to be embarrassed about?" Christina watched the fun and shrugged. "Anyway, the director is about to retire. Whether there is a fight or not is nothing to do with him. And if there is a fight, Sloan will definitely suffer in the end. We don't have to worry about Adam at all." "Don't be so sure." Meredith shook her head. "Don't be so sure, this is obvious." "Wait." Christina immediately refuted, but she was stunned halfway through her words, and turned her head to look at Meredith. "Do you know something inside?" "I don't know." Meredith shook her head, her eyes fixed on the doctor who was giving a report on the stage. "No, you definitely know." Christina entered the state of a famous detective and looked at Meredith. "You said don't be so sure." "I just said 2 sentences. One is that if there is a fight, Sloan will definitely suffer. This is beyond doubt. We are all 100% sure. Then the only thing that can't be so sure is the previous sentence, that the director is going to retire." "Did the director say something to you? Is he not going to retire?" "It must be said that Christian's double doctorate was not obtained in vain." A casual remark from her bestie immediately allowed her to analyze the key information. SHH. Meredith quickly reached out to cover her mouth. "This is my guess. It's not certain yet. Don't say anything nonsense. Does the director really mean this? Christina signaled Meredith to let go with her eyes, and after she let go, she leaned close to Meredith's ear and whispered. I think so, Meredith said uncertainly. The director is only a little over 50, and there is nothing wrong with his health. He is still one of the best surgeons in the hospital. He wanted to retire before because his wife forced him to. Now, you are not unaware of the situation, and it is normal for the director to hesitate. This was the emotion that the director of surgery revealed when he chatted with Meredith privately after she made a mistake in the patient. He didn't want to retire in the first place. After being kicked out by his wife and struggling for a while, he felt that he owed his wife too much over the years, so he decided to retire to accompany his wife around the world and have children. Over the years, the director of surgery has been obsessed with hospital management and surgery, and has never had children, although he is now in his 50s and his wife is in her 40s. But he knows that his wife wants children, although he didn't want his wife to be an elderly mother. If his wife really insisted, the couple could give it a try, because he thought he could still do it. So after thinking it through, he went home excitedly, wanting to give his wife a surprise. But his wife came out in her pajamas to open the door, and didn't even let him in. There was also a strange man's voice coming from the house. You're too late, the director's wife said without disguising. I have waited for you for more than 20 years. After giving you an ultimatum, I waited for you for another month. Do you still expect me to keep waiting? I'm almost 50 years old, and I really don't have much time to wait any longer. The director of surgery wanted to get angry at first, but when he heard his wife say this, he recalled that he had cheated on his wife over the years, and he basically didn't go home. His wife had to make appointments with the secretary again and again to find him. He didn't try to give his wife a child. Finally, he sighed and left. He understood his wife's approach, but this also caused a contradiction in his retirement plan. What would he do when he retired and went home now? But he had already said he was going to retire, and the 4 chief doctors under him were fighting each other. If he didn't have a good reason, he really couldn't say he wasn't going to leave. So he was very entangled. When he privately taught Meredith, whom he regarded as his daughter, a lesson, it was inevitable that his true feelings would be revealed, and he unconsciously revealed some of his current thoughts, which were known to Meredith. Is that so? Christina nodded and said nothing. Dr. Duncan is here, Lexi reminded at this time. Here. Christina immediately waved. Adam walked to the seat Christina and the others had reserved for him and sat down. He smiled apologetically at the chief doctor on the stage. Sorry, please continue. Ahem. The chief surgeon standing at the door coughed lightly. The eyes that were originally looking at Adam returned to the stage again. Just looking at their flickering eyes, it was obvious that their minds had not been withdrawn. That's right, Adam Duncan versus Mark Sloan. This matter had already spread throughout the hospital. Today's conference room was almost packed. Everyone who could come came just to watch the fun. Who has the energy to care about anything else now? Seeing this, the chief of surgery took the microphone from the host from the chief resident Kelly and reminded Mark Sloan to come on stage for the discussion. Everyone's attention was instantly focused. Mark Sloan came on stage and described his death case verbatim, then glanced awkwardly at the chief and Adam below, and began to speak from the perspective provided by Adam. This is my latest feeling. Next time I encounter such a patient, I decided to try this new method. Perhaps the result will be completely different. I also want to thank Dr. Duncan for the inspiration he gave me. Dr. Duncan deserves to be called the most gifted doctor. After saying the last flattering sentence in disguised form of surrender, the string in my heart was completely loosened, and my expression became calm. It's no big deal. I'm the first, but definitely not the last. Clap, clap, clap. The chief of surgery was the first to applaud. Adam followed closely. Then everyone began to applaud, and the entire seminar was filled with a joyful atmosphere. There was no way not to be joyful. The chief was staring at it, scanning back and forth. Dr. Sloan said it well. The chief of surgery picked up the microphone and looked around at everyone and said, "What is the purpose of holding a seminar? It is to remember the lessons learned, brainstorm, and make progress together. But I don't know when this original purpose became corrupted. Many people look at this conference with a non-academic perspective. Whenever there is a chance, they will maliciously target and attack wantonly. When they heard this, Adam and Meredith looked at Christina. "Yes, I'm talking about you." "What for?" Christina shrank her neck uncomfortably. "It didn't start with me." Listen carefully to the chief's speech. Adam and Meredith smiled at each other. The chief of surgery continued his speech. "We are doctors, not gods, and we cannot be perfect. If you target others today, others can target you tomorrow. Let us put aside these vicious cycles, return to the original purpose, and conduct pure academic discussions without any emotional bias. If you have any good ideas, you can say them. Don't have any burden." Even the interns who have just come here are the same. They are all doctors who have obtained a doctorate in medicine. Who is not a child of destiny? Look at Dr. Duncan. Who dares to say that Dr. Duncan during his internship could not make some constructive suggestions to the residents and attending doctors to help the senior doctors improve? No one dares to say that. As long as everyone focuses on medicine, helps each other, and makes progress together, we will definitely become the best teaching hospital in the United States and the world. We have the first Dr. Duncan, and there will be a second one. The medical center will eventually be shining and legendary. Pa pa pa. This time, the applause from the crowd was just as warm, but it was much more sincere, especially those new interns, each with a fiery look in their eyes, all hoping to become the second Dr. Duncan. The chief of surgery waited for the applause to stop naturally. This was easy, because they were all surgeons, and their hands were the most precious when they performed surgery, so how could they applaud for a long time? No matter how excited they were, they would naturally stop after a few claps. The only ones who stopped were the interns. After the seminar, their respective resident supervisors would definitely teach them a lesson and teach them how to protect their hands. "Dr. Duncan, I know you usually have a lot of wonderful ideas, but you don't want to say more to save our face," the head of the surgery department said, "but I hope that from today on, as long as it is a seminar, you can say whatever you think of. Don't be shy. We all know your level, and we all hope to keep improving. Life is endless, and learning never stops. Let's learn a little more today, without waiting until tomorrow, and one patient may die less today. Dr. Duncan, please come up. Let's start with my surgical case now, and let's discuss the experience and lessons of the surgery together. Let's discuss together." Adam did not refuse, and went up very cooperatively. First of all, this was the director using himself to save face for Mark Sloan. Everyone did this, even the director was no exception. It was not so glaring that Mark Sloan gave in public. Secondly, this is indeed the essence of the seminar. Remember the lessons, brainstorm, and make progress together. This is what Adam has always wanted to do. In Alice Gray's previous open class, Adam repeatedly invited Dr. Burke and others to discuss the case in depth. But on the one hand, Dr. Burke and others were reluctant to let go. On the other hand, Adam was embarrassed and could not force it. Now that the director has the opportunity to speak out and promote it, Adam does not mind taking the step and connecting this in-depth dialogue and discussion directly with various famous doctors. As long as we get over the face problem at the beginning and turn it into a pure medical exchange. At that time, hello, I am good, and everyone is good. And add one more thing. It is better for patients. How great is that? Chapter 763 I Do, Medical Center. Conference Hall. The seminar continued. The chief of surgery set an example for himself, encouraging everyone to brainstorm and make progress together. Adam also cooperated well, and put forward many ideas for the surgery performed by the chief. He also inadvertently omitted some details, induced Dr. Burke and others to fill in the gaps, and then sincerely complimented and thanked him. His eyes swept over Christina and the little guy from time to time, signaling them to think more and ask more questions, and guiding more doctors in the audience to ask questions actively. With the chief of surgery in charge, after a few sets of combined punches, the atmosphere of the seminar became lively. Most people like this atmosphere. In the past, many people asked questions with emotional colors. For example, when Dr. Bailey was pregnant and gave birth, She went on stage in the first month of work. There was a resident who was jealous of Dr. Bailey and pointed out bluntly, "Is it because of the fluctuation of hormones after you got pregnant and gave birth that affected your medical skills?" In the future, no one dared to ask this question in public, otherwise, a big hat would be put on, and this resident who took advantage of the topic would definitely be in trouble even if he was not beaten to death. But the situation is not as extreme as it will be in the future. This is a hospital, and hormone fluctuations will indeed affect a person's condition. Therefore, even though Dr. Bailey knew that the other party was simply venting his emotions and attacking, he just suppressed his displeasure and explained, "No, you can't confirm it." The resident doctor continued to ask like a nitpicker. There is a video of the operation. Dr. Bailey took a deep breath and said expressionlessly, "That's the evidence. If you can find any mistakes I made after watching it, then we can talk about my hormone problem. If you haven't seen it, then please go and watch it first, and then we can discuss professional issues." As he said that, he looked at him coldly, with a confident and firm look in his eyes, which forced the nitpicking resident doctor to retreat. Another example, the various strict requirements that residents have for interns are sometimes not completely from a professional perspective. Christina, who only refers to interns by numbers, obviously insults the personality of interns and has a strong personal emotional color. Even if other residents are not as extreme as Christina, they have strict requirements for rookie interns to some extent, which makes interns feel uncomfortable and dissatisfied. At the seminar, how could these interns who are dissatisfied with their superiors not take the opportunity to vent their feelings? Of course, they are not so stupid that they dare not target the interns who teach them, but it doesn't matter. Internship is a group. This kind of dissatisfaction and taking the opportunity to vent are common psychology. Therefore, they all tacitly cross-target the interns who cannot manage them, so that no one is missed and it is not easy to be retaliated afterwards. There are countless such examples. Residents of the same level are jealous and targeted, and interns of lower levels make trouble. Today you mess with me, and tomorrow I will mess with you. When it happens many times, the originally simple academic seminar has become a large popcorn movie scene, so that Christina and others have to buy all kinds of snacks and drinks before each meeting. While eating and watching happily below, they can stand up and say a few words from time to time. For them who work all the time, is there any better way to relax than this? Obviously not. With Christinas who love to mess things up, the seminars are naturally getting more and more ridiculous. Now, Adam and the chief of surgery want to change this ridiculous atmosphere and get to the bottom of it. Now it seems that they have initially succeeded. Dr. Burke and his colleagues are all real famous doctors. Once they put down their psychological burdens and are willing to discuss, their more than 10 years of valuable work experience will make Adam's eyes shine. In this kind of communication, Adam is the one who benefits the most. Because he has a visual memory and is willing to work harder, it can be said that his theoretical knowledge is basically invincible. In addition, his physical attributes have been comprehensively improved to inhuman levels, and his hands-on ability is comparable to that of a robot. What he lacks is just enough rich and comprehensive practical experience. Alice Gray's private class every night can make up for some of it, but no matter how legendary Alice Gray is, her experience focuses only on cardiothoracic surgery, and since she got Alzheimer's disease, her practical experience has been delayed for several years. In this medical field where technology is changing with each passing day and learning and practice are needed every day, this is a big disadvantage. Dr. Burke, Dr. Shept, Dr. Sloan and other attending physicians are all top doctors in their respective fields. Their years of practical experience are the last shortcoming of Adam. Once all loading is completed, Adam will become a legendary general practitioner who is proficient in theory, experience and hands-on practice, and the all-round medical assistant of the future. Now that he has successfully taken the first step, how can Adam not be secretly happy? So many patients and so many doctors can't stay here for meetings all the time. A few hours later, the seminar ended with Adam reluctant to leave. "Thank you, Adam." After everyone dispersed, the director of surgery saw that Mark Sloan was no longer embarrassed and unhappy when he left, and he couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief and thanked Adam. "You're welcome. This is what I should do. Although Adam gained the most, he didn't mind accepting the director's favor. Papa. A nurse came in with a wheelchair. On the wheelchair, Larry, the chairman of the hospital, applauded and exclaimed, "Excellent, Larry, why are you here?" The chief of surgery hurriedly came over and said, "You need to rest now. There is such a big conflict between two star doctors in the hospital." Chairman Larry laughed, "And the only one who can calm these star doctors, the chief of surgery who I value the most, told me that he wants to retire early. How can I rest at ease, Larry?" The chief of surgery was very entangled. "Stay, Richard," Chairman Larry advised. "Look at what you did just now. I dare say that no one can do better than you." The 4 attending physicians who want to compete for the position of chief of surgery are not ready yet. At this point, he glanced at Adam and said, "Maybe in the future, but now there is absolutely no one who can replace you." "Adam, what do you think?" "I totally agree." Adam nodded and smiled. No one can do better than the chief. In today's performance, the management ability demonstrated by the chief of surgery was indeed convincing. As for the 4 major attendings, not to mention the status of the plastic surgery and neonatology departments, the 4 of them all have all kinds of bloody emotional problems, and they are all in the hospital where they work. These things are actually very criticized. Of course, the chief of surgery was like this when he was young, but he also cut off that bloody relationship before he became the chief of surgery. In order to be a good chief of surgery, he has always been strict with himself, and even ended up being cheated on. Such a chief of surgery, not to mention power or anything else, is very competent anyway. And Adam can't be the chief of surgery now, and it is also a good thing for Adam to have the current chief of surgery occupy the position. Therefore, what Adam said was really from the heart and sincere. "Richard, did you see it?" Chairman Larry was very happy. "This is what everyone wants. Do you still have to retire early?" "Okay." The chief of surgery looked at Adam, and seeing that Adam's eyes were sincere, he turned his gaze to the chairman and said excitedly, "I am willing to continue to serve the medical center." Chapter 764 A Reappearance of Page Medical Center. "Congratulations." Adam congratulated the chief of surgery and said with a smile, "I think other people will be happy to know this good news." "Thank you." The chief of surgery thanked him. It was both for Adam's congratulations and for Adam's hint that he should leak the news for him. It proved that he was not going back on his word, but was really retained by the chairman again and again. He had no choice but to do it. Emergency room. Lexi and the little guy were sent by Adam to deliver the diagnosis results. Cultivating the professional attitude of doctors who were emotionless but not indifferent, Carter and George followed Adam. "Let's see if there are any good cases." Adam smiled. "Not yet." The nurse smiled and handed the case registration form to Adam. Adam took it and glanced at it. There were indeed no good cases. "Carter, what are you still doing here? No matter how small the case is, it is still a case." Adam returned the case registration form to the nurse and said, "Don't tell me that your foundation has reached my requirements. Why don't you move? I'll go right away." Carter didn't dare to brag. He immediately remembered the most understanding nurse who had repeatedly emphasized to him that Adam valued a solid foundation, and quickly agreed and continued to start with minor illnesses. "Winnie, our Dr. Carter is now in your hands." Adam looked at the nurse and smiled. "Give him any work he needs. Let him do more. Don't just wear a white coat and show off. Haha. Don't worry, Dr. Duncan." Nurse Winnie laughed. "We all know Dr. Duncan's expectations of Dr. Carter, and we are all keeping an eye on him." "Thank you, and thank the others for me too." Adam thanked. George, who was standing by, smiled bitterly. In the past, there was a time when he was the most handsome guy in the eyes of the nurses, and was cared for by the nurses. But I don't know when this attitude disappeared. Now he is cared for again, but it is only as an intern under Adam, and he is being watched and cared for by the nurses. Sometimes, looking at his girlfriend Kelly's professional and emotional look, he wanted to learn from Meredith and the others. When he got emotional, he would directly block Kelly in the corner, do a wall bang, and then drag her into a hidden room for a hearty working meal. But now, when he thought that the nurses were watching them and would report their performance to Adam at any time, this impulse would naturally subside. He even suspected that if he really did this, The nurses would come and knock on the door directly, causing him to have a psychological shadow. In the hospital, it is almost impossible to avoid the eyes of the nurses, especially the eyes of the entire Nurses Alliance. Dr. Duncan. As he was talking, the door of the emergency room was pushed open and a stretcher was pushed in. "What's the situation?" Adam immediately took George to greet him. "He fainted in the nursing institution," the nurse who followed explained. "Blood pressure 50/30, pulse is very weak, 130, no tendon reflex, no response to pain, the intravenous fluid is running out, his blood vessels are too fragile to bear it," Adam said as he checked. "What's his name?" "Johnson Page," the nurse said. "Page?" Adam was stunned when he heard the last name. Then he took a small flashlight to shine in the old man's eyes and called out, "Johnson, Johnson, Mr. Page?" There was no response. "How old is he? How was his quality of life before? Did he sign a DNR, waiver of emergency consent?" Adam looked at the nurse. Although rescuing him now means adding plus 0.01 to Adam's lifespan, but the specific situation depends on the specific analysis. This old man is basically a vegetable. If he is too old, his quality of life was very poor before, and he signed a DNR, then Adam's rescue of him would not only violate the law, but also torture the old man. Adam doesn't need this 0.01 point of life, so how could he do such a self-defeating thing that harms others and benefits himself? The nurse who came with him was startled. Adam glanced at him and explained awkwardly, "I just got here, and I don't know much about him." "Call your nursing institution immediately. I need to know his detailed situation now," Adam shouted. Okay, the nurse agreed quickly. "What's the phone number?" Nurse Winnie said immediately. "I'll call." The nurse reported the number, and Nurse Winnie dialed it quickly. "His heart rate is slow," the nurse reminded. "Winnie, did you get through?" Adam asked. "They asked me to wait," Winnie said helplessly. Looking at the nurse's reaction, it was clear that this nursing institution was not professional enough. "I can't wait," Adam ordered. "Winnie, you continue to contact the nursing institution. Once there is news, notify us immediately. We will perform rescue first, connect oxygen, and prepare atropine." In the dark, even if it was later discovered that letting the patient die naturally was the best option, Adam could only choose to rescue first at this moment. After 12 minutes of rescue, there was still no response. Dr. Duncan, the nursing agency, found his medical records, but no DNR was found. Nurse Winnie took the phone and reminded, "What disease does he have?" Adam asked while performing CPR. "He has chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, renal failure, congestive heart failure, prostate cancer, diabetes." Nurse Winnie reported a long list of diseases. Adam's mouth twitched. Let the nursing agency look for it again. With so many diseases, how could he not sign a DNR? "Can you contact his family?" "There is a granddaughter," Winnie said. "They are trying to contact her. He has a heartbeat," the nurse reminded. "This old man is really a fighter." A nurse couldn't help but sigh. Adam agreed. In this situation, he was ready to give up, but he didn't expect that the other party would survive tenaciously at the last moment. "I hope you really want to live and didn't sign a DNR." Adam looked at the system's plus 0.01 prompt, but he didn't feel the joy of increasing his life as usual, and couldn't help but sigh. Living with so many diseases is a very painful thing. If the other party signed a DNR, then Adam rescued him this time, which was really a lot for the patient. Moreover, the inefficient nursing institution sent the patient here without even preparing the medical records. The nurse didn't know anything and wrote on her face that she was a temporary worker. It was hard not to make Adam suspect that the other party didn't find the DNR or lost it. In the world of American TV series, most elderly people go to nursing homes or nursing institutions. In theory, as long as you have money, you don't have to worry even if you don't have children. But the reality is so magical. If you don't have children, even if you have money and go to a nursing home or nursing institution, it is easy to have a miserable old age. Because nursing work always needs someone to do it. There is no filial son in front of a long-term sick bed. You can't even be sure that your own children can be relied on, not to mention that the other party is just a working nurse. There are no children outside to visit regularly. Once you're too old to move, you will easily be bullied and live a life worse than death. It's useless to have more money, because by then, there is a high probability that all the people who have interests with you, those who have signed contracts and paid money to protect your interests and help you spend your old age, will bully you and make you unable to act or appeal for your own interests. Either you fight with each other, or you work together, and use legal or illegal means to swallow up the money you deposited there for your old age. In the end, you will either be left in a bad environment to die, or you will simply be sent to heaven in advance to increase the bed turnover rate. Human nature cannot be tested. Adam only hopes that this is not the case with this old man. Chapter 765, Hidden Corner, Medical Center, Emergency Room. O'Malley, I'll leave this to you. Adam looked at the old man who was breathing normally but still unconscious. Thinking that his surname was Peggy and he had a granddaughter, he instructed, if there is any situation or his family comes, notify me immediately. The surname Peggy is not uncommon in American TV series. Therefore, Adam was not sure whether the granddaughter was the one he guessed, but he was very curious. Yes, George agreed. Adam continued to take care of other emergencies. In a blink of an eye, it was noon. Cafeteria. Director is really not going to retire? When Christina heard Adam mention this, she couldn't help but glance at Meredith. Yeah, Adam nodded. There is no way. The chairman repeatedly asked me to stay. You have seen the ability of the director in the seminar this morning. Now there is indeed no one who has enough prestige and ability to succeed the director. What a pity. Christina couldn't help but say something. Seeing Adam and Meredith looking at her, she quickly explained, I am not sorry that the director has not been replaced. I am sorry that the seminars that used to be more exciting than popcorn blockbusters will not be held in the future. Just be thankful. Adam joked. Otherwise, it will be your turn to perform on stage for the Best Actress soon. With your popularity in the hospital, I can guarantee that your big show will be the most exciting and will probably instantly become the first in the history of seminar popcorn. But you may not like it at that time. Don't. Christina was speechless. After being reminded by Adam, she remembered that her reputation seemed not very good. Now she is also a resident doctor. In the future, as the attending physicians gradually let go, she will also be able to take charge of the department. It is inevitable that patients will die in her hands. Once she gets on stage, everyone will definitely attack her. I don't really like this kind of atmosphere. Christina immediately changed her words and said seriously, Adam, you know me. I like the professional academic atmosphere you promote the most. Haha. Adam smiled and said nothing. In fact, if he didn't want to go further, he also liked to watch the explosive and bloody seminars in the past. He watched the doctors on the stage being poked in the sore spot, and their faces changed again and again, and some even slammed the door and left on the spot. This atmosphere is indeed unhealthy, but it can't be resisted. It is really exciting. Gossip is human nature. Just like in Adam's previous life, those who made bad movies blatantly said that the reason why there are so many bloody bad movies is not their fault at all, and the only thing to blame is that you, the audience, like to watch them. This is a blatant blame, but it is undeniable that there is some truth. Aesthetics is not easy to do, but it is not easy to appreciate ugliness. Black and red are also red. Beep, beep. While chatting, the pager rang. We have to go. The patient's family is here. Adam picked it up and looked at it. He said something and got up and left. Emergency room. Agent Page, it's you. Adam couldn't help but smile when he saw the familiar figure standing there. How is he? The young FBI agent Jesse Page, who came to question Adam about the last incident of a shell exploding inside a patient in the hospital, stood there pretentiously. She didn't respond to Adam's smile and asked rather coldly, Mr. Johnson Page? Adam noticed that she was in a bad mood, so he put away his smile and asked professionally, are you his granddaughter? Don't. Jesse Page was silent for a moment, nodded, and asked again, how is he? Miss Page, Adam said professionally, your grandfather was found unconscious this morning. We believe he suffers from multi-system organ failure, including heart, stomach, and kidney. In addition, he also suffers from a series of diseases such as stroke. Because the nursing agency said that they didn't find a DNR signed by him, we can only continue to rescue him. He is a strong man and he survived. Your grandfather's condition is very serious. Do you know his condition? Has he signed a DNR before? Is he in pain now? Jesse Page glanced into the ward and asked instead of answering. He is unconscious now, so he is not in pain. Adam looked at her and frowned, but once he regains consciousness, he will be in great pain given his physical condition. So Miss Page, do you know his condition? My mind is confused and I can't remember clearly. Jesse Page put her hand on her forehead and shook her head. I am not close to him, but please do your best to save him. You also said that he is a strong person, isn't he? Are you sure? Adam looked at her deeply. Please. Jesse Page looked at Johnson Page in the ward. You are his relative. Before the will is found, you have the final say, Adam said lightly. Jesse Page nodded silently, without any intention of speaking. Winnie. Adam raised his voice. Dr. Duncan. Nurse Winnie came over immediately. Urge the nursing institution again. Adam looked at Jesse Page and instructed Nurse Winnie, tell them to find it clearly. Don't miss any important documents. Yes. Nurse Winnie responded and left. O'Malley, notify me if anything happens, Adam told George and turned away. Although he didn't know what grudges Jess Page had with her grandfather, it was not his business. Everything should be done according to procedures. 2 hours later, on the overpass between the hospital buildings, Adam took a document and walked to Jess Page, who was leaning on the railing with her arms and looking into the distance. In the same way, he glanced at the people walking back and forth. Don't you want to say something? Nothing to say. Jess Page looked into the distance and murmured, the nursing agency has found your grandfather's will. Adam raised the document in his hand. There is a DNR in it. Guess who signed it for you? Jess Page. Oh, Jess Page said lightly. I remember. I was too excited just now and forgot to sign this. Don't you plan to talk about it? Adam turned his head to look at her. Is there a difference? Jess Page glanced at him. Adam paused, nodded and said, your grandfather's blood oxygen is almost undetectable. He no longer has a functioning organ in his body. I have asked the hospital lawyer to contact the judge to apply for the removal of the intubation tube and comply with his wishes. Before the intubation and ventilator, Adam had to save him first because he did not get a DNR. Now even if he gets a DNR, Adam cannot stop the ventilator directly. He must first explain the situation to the judge and get approval before he can end the other party's painful last moments. Whatever. Jesse Page looked up and took a deep breath. Alas. Adam glanced at the tears in her eyes and sighed in his heart. What hatred and vengeance. However, when he thought that this was a world of American dramas with countless weird things, countless dog blood flashed through his mind, and his previous aversion to Jesse Page was reduced a lot. There is no hatred without reason, not to mention between blood relatives. There are probably secrets dripping with blood and tears that he doesn't know about. P.S. Thanks to the book friend 16110605240780 for the reward. Chapter 766 Wonderful Sharing. Medical Center. Seeing Jesse Page's silent and tearful appearance, Adam didn't want to be sentimental. Maybe she was just too sleepy today and yawned. As we all know, sometimes when you are too sleepy and yawn, tears will appear in your eyes. Beep, beep. The pager rang. Adam opened it and put it away, looking at Jesse Page. It should be approved by the procedures. Don't you want to go and see? Okay. Jesse Page was silent for a moment and nodded. Adam took her to the ward, went through the procedures under the witness of a lawyer, and then pulled out the intubation and stopped the ventilator. This life support system costs $5,000 a day. Without external assistance, Jesse's grandfather will soon die unconscious. Adam has been paying attention to Jesse's expression, but there is no complicated expression as imagined, only indifference. Obviously, the story here will be very bloody. It seems that I have to meet Officer Kate Beckett tonight to have a good chat about human nature. After coming out of the ward, Adam was about to go see Carter. Carter's foundation has never been very good. Now, even at Adam's request, he has to double his foundation. But giving him some positive feedback from time to time can help him stick to it. Teaching is not just about imparting technology, but also about considering methods and approaches. For Carter, when he looked up and saw Dr. Duncan paying attention to him, A smile of affirmation was enough to cheer him up for the whole day. But before Adam could go over, a familiar figure appeared in the emergency room. "Adele?" Adam hurriedly greeted him. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine." Adele, the wife of the head of surgery, who was separated and in the process of divorce, winked at Adam and told him not to make a fuss. "What's going on?" Adam took Adele to the ward and asked with concern. Not to mention that she and the head of surgery had a peaceful breakup. Even if the head of surgery witnessed his cheating with his own eyes, he did not blame his wife. As for Adele herself, Adam had also been to the head of surgery's house for a banquet and knew that Adele was really a good person. Of course, it is debatable whether Adele cheated on the chief of surgery without getting a divorce, but with the chief of surgery's personality, Adam seriously suspected that Adele had no chance to make an appointment with the chief of surgery. The divorce lawyer's letter was probably buried in a thick pile of documents. Of course, it is not ruled out that the chief of surgery received it, but pretended not to know, wanting to delay and not wanting to get a divorce. This is also his usual routine in the past. At Adele's age, she really can't wait. "I had a small car accident. It's okay." Adele waved her hand. "I'll notify the chief." Adam took out his mobile phone. Don't notify him." Adele quickly stopped her. "Adam, you should have heard that we have separated and are going through the divorce process. My life has nothing to do with him." "I mean it." "I know." Adam nodded. "But I also know that the chief still cares about you, even if you are separated or divorced. If you have something, he will definitely be the first to stand up." "Will he?" Adele was stunned. "I think he will." Adam nodded with certainty. After all, the chief of surgery is also an old scumbag, facing his old wife who has been with him all his life, whose boudoir was empty in the past and whose knees are desolate now. He feels very guilty. Adele was silent for a moment, and forced a smile. "I still hope you don't tell him about me. No matter what happened in the past, we don't even have a child now. What else can we say?" "Okay, if you insist." Adam put away his phone. "But I still have to check you carefully. Although it looks fine on the surface, car accidents are no small matter. It's better to ensure safety." "Well," Adele nodded, then hesitated. "I'd better go to Addison. It's more convenient for her to check." "Okay." Adam smiled. "Do you need me to call her over?" "It's farther away from the chief, so it's more convenient. The emergency room is on the first floor of the hospital, and the surgery department is upstairs." "I'll go there myself." Adele shook her head. "Okay." Adam looked at her in surprise. "But you must go. I will ask Dr. Montgomery later." "Well." Adele smiled and nodded. Adam watched her leave, speculating in his heart. Then a few hours later, he got confirmation from Dr. Montgomery about his guess. "She's really pregnant?" Even though Adam had guessed it, he was still a little shocked. "Why?" Dr. Montgomery looked at Adam with a sidelong glance. "Can't Adele get pregnant?" "Of course not." Adam shook his head. "It's just that it's too dangerous for an elderly mother to give birth. She just had a car accident." "Is the fetus okay?" "The ultrasound shows that the fetus is normal." Dr. Montgomery smiled and said, "But Adele has some internal bleeding. It's not serious. I have already taken care of it. But just in case, let her stay in the hospital for observation for one night." "Did she agree?" Adam reminded. "I think you should pay more attention. She may not want to be hospitalized in order to avoid the director. Don't agree to you openly and then leave secretly, if something goes wrong at that time." "Yes." Dr. Montgomery was shocked. "I'll find someone to watch her." "I'll do it." Adam took out his mobile phone and made a call. He called a person from the nurse who was taking care of Alice Gray to take care of Adele throughout the whole process. Whether it is a resident doctor or a nurse, it is too easy to gossip and leak information. It is better to use a nurse. The world is wonderful. A pair of rivals, always sharing the same man. When we get old, there will be a day when we share care. "By the way, how many months is the fetus?" Adam asked curiously. "I knew you would ask this." Dr. Montgomery rolled his eyes at Adam. 13 weeks. "How is it? Is it possible that it is the director's?" Adam's mouth twitched. "You still have the nerve to say that to him. You are obviously more gossipy than anyone else." However, Adam immediately called up the memory database and compared it, and found that the director had stayed in the hospital for those few days and did not go back. Poor Richard. Dr. Montgomery understood as soon as he saw Adam's expression. Not necessarily. Adam smiled and said, "This is just our guess. Maybe Adele used unconventional means. The child may still be the director's." Yeah. Dr. Montgomery responded perfunctorily. Unconventional means are only used when there is no other choice, and seeing that Adele has found a new love, when there are conventional means available, it would be crazy to use unconventional means. Unconventional means, whether for the child or the mother, have certain risks, especially for mothers. Drugs used to stimulate ovulation may cause serious sequelae, such as ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome, increased risk of ovarian cancer, increased risk of ectopic pregnancy, etc. Hey, director, Dr. Montgomery sighed. Addison, what's the matter? At this moment, the chief of surgery came out from the corner, heard Dr. Montgomery's sigh, thought he was calling him, walked over, put his hands on his hips and asked, "Dot?" Dr. Montgomery was speechless for a moment, turned his head to look at Adam, ready to let Adam take over, but Adam nodded to the director naturally, and walked away like a passerby. Chapter 767, If you have any questions, go to Kate. Late at night, after Alice Gray's private class, Adam returned to the apartment. Kate had received Adam's call in advance and arrived at the same time. Of course, they first had an in-depth discussion about each other's recent physical conditions. This is Adam's occupational disease. After being a doctor for a long time, he wants to help check people when he sees them. It is said that it is difficult for a doctor to treat himself. Kate and Adam have been together for a long time. As a senior police officer, she has also gained some basic diagnosis and treatment skills for others. Adam can do a self-examination in disguise through Kate. The process is as smooth as silk. Both of them are very healthy, which makes them very happy. After all, health is a blessing. What's wrong? You are not in a good mood today? After the two-way physical examination, Adam began to care about Kate's mental health. This is not high? Kate was not happy. Yeah, Adam nodded seriously. This has fallen below your usual average level. You can't fool me. There must be something that has made you depressed recently, so this is the case. Kate didn't want to talk anymore, although she had long known Adam's genius and unusualness. But Adam could even use statistics to draw a chart in his brain to record her mood at any time, and was so sensitive to her abnormal mood. It was simply too exaggerated. If this mood fluctuated greatly, it would be fine, but this mood fluctuated not that much. Tell me about it. Adam joked. It can't be that I made you unhappy, right? Then I want to reflect on it and make a sincere and hard apology. Don't. Kate stopped him as soon as she heard it. It's not your fault. You don't need to reflect on it and apologize. I can't bear it. Okay, I said it's not okay yet. I'm listening. Adam smiled. Recently, one of my colleagues, Frankie, resigned. Kate pressed Adam's hands with both hands and explained, "You also know that there are very few women in law enforcement agencies such as the police station, and even fewer who do well. So this Frankie left, making you feel a little sad?" Adam suddenly realized and said casually, "Why did she leave? Was she discriminated against or harassed?" In the world of American TV series, it is very common for female employees to be harassed and discriminated against, especially in some special departments. It is a darkness that cannot be uncovered. Kate felt that it was normal for her to feel sorry for her. I didn't say. Kate shook her head. Frankie's situation is more special. At this point, she hesitated for a moment, thinking of Adam's good friends Juno and Karen when she met them last time, and said thoughtfully, "She is a bit like Juno and Karen." Adam's mouth twitched. So she is more discriminated against? I heard that. Kate nodded. She has recently been in a relationship with a professional guardian. The professional guardian's business is getting better and better. Seeing that Frankie was unhappy at work, he invited her to work together. Professional guardian? Adam frowned. There are many hidden secrets here. Could the professional guardian be attracted by Frankie's connections? That should be part of the reason. Kate nodded. After all, they often need to investigate some things in this line of work. It will be very convenient to have Frankie's connections in the police station. Moreover, Frankie's workability is also very strong. After changing jobs, I think she will be able to get started quickly and help her a lot. It can coordinate connections and facilitate work." Adam smiled and said, "He can help with chores, be a personal bodyguard, and sleep with me at night. This professional guardian has a good eye. Yes, he is." Kate ignored Adam's teasing and sighed seriously. "I was worried about Frankie, so I did a little research. This professional guardian named Mara Grayson is a rising star in the guardianship industry in recent years. She is favored by judges and is often designated as a professional guardian by judges." "Favored by the judge?" Adam narrowed his eyes. "Is it the judge or the judges?" "It's Judge Judy Loomis." Kate was stunned. "Do you mean that this Mara and Judge Loomis have transferred benefits?" "The probability is very high." Adam smiled and said, "In this capitalist society, how can there be favor without reason? Professional guardians are not doing charity." At this point, he sighed. "Alas, things are very complicated here. Without the ability to control the earth and play with the three-body, no one can change anything." "How is your relationship with this Frankie?" "Not bad." As witnesses of human nature, Kate understood Adam's sigh and knew that this was a problem constructed by the bottom of society, which they could not solve. After a moment of sadness, she turned her attention back to her friend. "We are all colleagues, and we are rare people of the same sex, and, in short, it's not bad." "Why?" Adam got excited and asked curiously, "Did this Frankie have feelings for you?" "Oh, men." Kate sighed in contempt. "Ahem." Adam coughed awkwardly and changed the subject. "If you have a good relationship, advise her to stick to the bottom line and not live from one extreme to another." Although the police in American TV series only maintain law and order and have no responsibility to protect the people, but generally speaking, anyone with a conscience still hopes to protect. As far as Adam knows, these professional guardians are completely businessmen who like to exploit legal loopholes and can deprive the elderly who should have been well cared for by them of everything within the legal scope. The difference lies in their respective abilities and means. Not everyone is the female version of Captain America Carolyn. Adam occasionally chatted with Carolyn, and when he heard her talk about some industry insider information, it was really shocking and chilling. But this was something that could not be changed by human power. Only when there were more pure people like Carolyn could Adam have a glimmer of hope for this world. "That's right, only a glimmer. I'm afraid she won't listen." Kate shook her head helplessly. "Then let her be." Adam comforted her for a long time, making her mood better, and then smiled and said, "Speaking of this, I remembered what I wanted to ask you tonight." Then, he told Jesse Page and her grandfather about his doubts. If Jesse Page's grandfather did not have this granddaughter, with his physical condition, he would definitely be directly sentenced to a professional guardian by the court. At that time, Adam would not deal with Jesse at all. But with this professional guardian will have full custody of everything of Jesse's grandfather. "I don't know that either." Kate was surprised and said, "Jesse never told me before." Then she thought of something. "But I heard Jesse say before that she and her father had a very good relationship, but later her father committed suicide." "I heard that her father often quarreled with her grandfather. Maybe Jesse blamed her grandfather for that." "Haha, maybe." Adam smiled and said nothing more. Obviously Kate didn't know the bloody story. Anything more she said would be just fantasy, unverifiable and meaningless. Moreover, it's not appropriate to always talk about these things that spoil the scenery when it's a beautiful day. You stare into the abyss, and the abyss is also staring at you. The darkness is endless. In this world, only food and love can't be wasted. Go, go. P.S. Thanks to Harry Shinhong for the reward. Chapter 768 Ellis Nursing Home. The next day, under the comfort of the positive energy that should not be wasted, Adam finally encrypted the filth of the world, put it behind his mind, and went to work in high spirits early in the morning. Medical center. What? As soon as Adam arrived, he heard a heavy news from the nurse. When did it happen? This morning, the nurse who came to gossip said. The director has been with him the whole time. Speaking of which, the director is really nice. Yeah, another nurse echoed. I believe the director really loves his wife. Adam was speechless. One is an old scumbag who never returns home. The other is a man who ignores his wife's cheating on him and the fact that his wife is pregnant with another man's child. and only cares about his wife at the critical moment. It is really confusing when these two belong to the same person. That's right. Adele's pregnancy was still discovered by the director. After all, this is his hospital. No news can be kept from him for a long time. He soon knew that Adele was coming, and immediately went to find her, wanting to ask what happened. Adele didn't want to see him, and once hid in the women's bathroom when she saw him. But the director was very persistent and wanted to know, and he had been waiting outside the women's restroom. But no matter how the director stood outside and talked, Adele didn't respond. After a long time, the director realized something was wrong, pushed the door open, and found Adele lying on the floor with a large pool of blood under her. The director urgently called Dr. Montgomery. He originally thought it was uterine cancer, because Adele's family had a history of uterine cancer. But who knew it was pregnancy, and she almost had a miscarriage. She was saved at first, but then things took a turn for the worse and she was sent to the operating room. After all, at the age of 50, the risk of pregnancy is too great. The nurse said that because of incomplete miscarriage, uterine dilatation and curettage were needed. The adult was saved, but the child was not saved. And with Adele's age and the experience of miscarriage and uterine dilatation and curettage, the possibility of pregnancy again was basically cut off. Director, is Adele okay? Adam was about to go over to visit, and saw the director of surgery standing on the overpass. He paused, walked over, and asked, "It's okay." The chief surgeon glanced at Adam and said, "The child is gone." Adam was silent, not knowing what to say for a moment. If he was facing Adele, he would naturally say that he was sorry, but the person in front of him was the chief surgeon, so it seemed a bit problematic to say that. "It's my child," the chief surgeon added. "I'm sorry." Adam was stunned, and then immediately followed up with the traditional words of comfort from the Me family. "Adele didn't tell me," the chief surgeon said in a low voice. "She didn't tell me until she confirmed my feelings and knew that I was not as irresponsible as she thought." After the child was gone, looking at his grief-stricken old wife, he didn't have a trace of secret joy, but only the same sadness and infinite love for his old wife. When he accompanied her and asked whether to notify the man, Adele told him that the man didn't know anything at all, and the child's father was already here. His mood was so complicated. There was joy and infinite sadness. It was a boy, in his 50s, and his only bloodline died right in front of him. As long as the person is still there, there is hope. Adam comforted her. In fact, although it was a little unexpected that Adele was pregnant with the director's child, it was completely reasonable. Regardless of whether the director of surgery loved his wife, Adele was definitely in love with her husband. Decades of love are no joke, and the director's genes are also a hot commodity in the gold vault. After all, he is a big shot in the medical field and a successful person. Whether from an emotional or rational point of view, Adele's choice of her husband's genes to give birth to the next generation is the best choice. "It's impossible," the director of surgery sighed. "Adele can't bear the next pregnancy, and I don't want to give birth to the next generation with any woman except Adele." Adam was silent. In fact, after hearing a lot of creepy darkness, as a colleague and friend, he did not recommend the director of surgery and others to completely give up on having children. But this kind of thing can only be left to fate, not forced. "Adoption is also a good choice," Adam comforted. "As long as you raise the child with care, it will be the same. We'll see when the time comes." The chief surgeon smiled and said, "We are all so old now, it's not very realistic to raise a child. We will go to a nursing home in the future anyway. It doesn't matter. I have many friends who are in similar situations and have started to look for their future homes. I heard that there is a very good nursing home called Ellis Nursing Home. If Adele and I can't get back together in the future, or if we get back together and whoever dies first, we can go in." "Is Ellis Nursing Home so famous?" Adam was shocked. This was the first time he heard someone talk about this outside. "You've heard of it too?" The chief surgeon was surprised. Why did Adam care about this at such a young age? "This Ellis is my good friend." Adam smiled and said, "Compared to the good and bad nursing homes outside, Carolyn is definitely an angel on earth. She decided to establish this institution because she saw that the nursing staff did not really care about the elderly. I heard that the director is a very beautiful and kind lady. It turns out that she is your good friend, Adam. The chief of surgery showed a look of realization. Obviously, he had heard about Adam's good friends. Adam's mouth twitched. Your expression is a bit too much. Adam, you have donated a lot of money there, right? The chief of surgery said. With your relationship, Adam, I feel more at ease. I will recommend it to my friends, at their level. They are all shrewd people. Naturally, it is impossible not to plan for the future. Even if they have not seen the professional guardians with their own eyes, they have heard about it and are very disappointed. But this is the general trend, and they can't do anything about it. Not to mention that they don't have children. They can only go to that step in the end. Even if you have children, as long as you don't cultivate feelings from childhood and stay close to each other when you grow up, you can make a will in advance and list your children as heirs. At that time, you may still be sentenced to death by professional guardians, and everything you have worked hard for in your life will become their property, as long as these businessmen are willing. What is harvested is even their dignity. At that time, you will be locked up in a professional nursing institution, your mobile phone will be taken away, and all your channels for external contact will be cut off. Dare to disobey? Reduce the painkillers needed for common diseases of the elderly such as arthritis. Raise compulsory sports to the highest level. Give stimulants at 9 o'clock in the evening and tranquilizers during the day. Only basic food, cereal and soup. No solid food, no games, no TV. Not allowed to leave the room every day. If you come to such a set meal, basically no one can last long. Except for obedience. Still obedience is such a life a social elite who has struggled all his life willing to experience when he is old? Don't joke. They are powerless to fight against the entire social bottom structure, but they will never sit and wait for death. It is their most urgent choice to investigate as far in advance as possible and choose a nursing home that is not so black-hearted. Yes, they only hope to find someone who is not so black-hearted. And do not expect to find a paradise on earth that really treats them as family. P.S. Thank you for the reward from the leader of the alliance. I just saw that the author really did not expect that he did not add more chapters for the reward from the leader during the Chinese New Year. It is really shameful. This time, I will add 4 chapters later. Because of my handicap, I can only return as slowly next week. Forgive me. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 769, The Broken Flower. Sheldon Medical Center. After chatting with the chief of surgery, I unexpectedly learned that Carolyn's Ellis nursing home has begun to spread among the target population through word of mouth. It was really a pleasant surprise. However, Adam still went to the ward first to comfort Adele. For Adele, who lost her son in old age, other people's condolences can't reduce the pain in her heart. But Adam and his team have to do it, because every bit can be reduced. Rituals and etiquette exist for a reason. Just like Sheldon wanted to give Amy another shot during his honeymoon after marrying Amy, and resolutely fulfilled his husband's duties and practiced husband and wife's reality according to the schedule. Amy, however, was unwilling to accept it, saying that she was still jet-lagged and was not in the mood now, and would talk about it tomorrow morning. Sheldon didn't care, saying that it would have to wait until next Thursday. But it would be shorter by then because there would be a lot of things to do at that time. Amy exploded when she heard it. How could this be possible? Although this is not like the annual bubble in the past, if you miss it, you have to wait for a year. But they are newlyweds, and she is trying to make up for the regret of not having enough fun in the past. She was just being hypocritical just now, thinking that now they are husband and wife, Sheldon is no longer the Sheldon who was unwilling to have intimate contact in the past. So she subconsciously learned from Penny's teachings, using the way ordinary women deal with men, not letting men go to bed, trying to force Sheldon to compromise. But she forgot that Sheldon, whom she had spent many years to marry, was simply a limited time. Limited edition husband. If you miss this village, you will never have that store again. Amy and Sheldon had a fight on their honeymoon, and Sheldon explained helplessly afterwards. He did this because he wanted to be a good husband. Intimacy is a necessary part of a good husband, and this is precisely his weakness. He was just worried that if he didn't arrange the schedule, he might not even think about it. He didn't care about it. He loved purely, and only loved Amy as a person. It's not that he can't do things in the boudoir. Looking at Amy's almost soul-losing smile of enjoyment at the time, you can tell that he is quite talented. He didn't hate it. On the contrary, he enjoyed it, but that was all. Compared with the hobbies of otakus such as scientific exploration, games and comics, hanging out with his wife in the boudoir was really not that interesting. But Amy was obviously not like that. Once the sense of ritual brought by the schedule was gone, Amy would definitely get angry when he forgot it. After a long time, she would become indifferent and distant, and might even seek comfort from the muscular dock workers. It didn't matter in the past. He could even take the initiative to take Amy to the dock to help find it. But now Amy has picked his flower, and he can no longer go back to the past when he was the only one in his heart. He would also be jealous and sad. Therefore, the sense of ritual and the schedule are necessary. Later, the two reached an understanding and compromise, and Sheldon wrote an algorithm to automatically generate a pseudo-random schedule to meet his wife Amy's romantic needs. This is also very similar to the sense of ritual of Adam's New Year in his previous life. Many of the rituals that were a bit cumbersome in the past were omitted, and the atmosphere of the New Year gradually disappeared. This is not something that can be explained by "it doesn't matter" or "it doesn't matter whether it is there or not." Therefore, Adam still followed social etiquette and greeted Adele's sorrow with condolences. After coming out, Adam took the 4 children to make rounds and was busy until noon. Only then did he have time to call Carolyn and tell her about this unexpected surprise. "You know too?" Caroline said happily on the other end of the phone. "Recently, many people have come to visit and consult. Most of them are rich people without children. In the world of American dramas, because of value issues, there shouldn't be too many such people. Haha." Adam was also happy for Carolyn. He knew that she didn't forget her original intention because she saw money. But once there are more rich people, the resources of Ellis Nursing Home will increase, and then they can effectively use the assets of these rich people to absorb and shelter more poor old people, children, women and children. Of course, she will treat everyone equally, and will not take other people's money and discriminate against these people in turn. "Your reputation has spread." Adam smiled and said, "Even our director plans to enter your nursing home once he can't take care of himself in the future." At this point, he couldn't help but remind, "But don't expand blindly before you have enough staff, otherwise a good thing will turn into a bad thing." "I know." Carolyn on the other end of the phone was very clear. No matter how big the Ellis Nursing Home is, it can't be bigger than the whole society, and looking at what those elderly care institutions in society look like can make me, well, according to your words, it is to reflect on myself 3 times a day. I came from a nursing institution in society at the beginning, and I will not assimilate the ideal home I have worked hard to run into something I hate. Now, in addition to my daily work, my main energy is not actually focused on expansion, but on training people. If I train a trustworthy person, I will expand a little more. If I train 2, I will expand a little more. In short, before there are enough trustworthy people, I will not be blind, otherwise I will only hand these poor people without any protection into the hands of jackals. In that case, no matter how much I do and the more mistakes I make, what's the point? Yes. Adam was very pleased that Caroline remained calm and sober, and couldn't help but said, "If you need my help, please tell me." "I know." Caroline smiled and said, "You have been very helpful." At this point, she said sincerely, "Adam, Ellis Nursing Home is not only mine, but also yours. We are like-minded friends. This is our common ideal home. I will definitely protect it with all my strength." In the early stage, if it weren't for Adam's continuous donations, the little property she inherited would not be enough to cover the continuous expenses, let alone expand to what it is now. "This is a good deed. And a great good deed." Adam smiled and said, "Carolyn, you know I like to do this kind of good deed the most." "I know." Caroline sighed. "Otherwise, How could you, a billionaire, work so hard to be a doctor? Haha. Adam couldn't help but laugh. Although this is a system requirement, after going through so many things, whether it is curing diseases and saving lives, or doing some good deeds in his spare time, it actually really makes him happy. Oh, right. Carolyn smiled as she remembered something on the other end of the phone. There is one thing I can help you with. I found that the people you recommended are all very good and worth training. Can you help me keep an eye on them in the future? Of course, no problem. Adam agreed readily, and then asked curiously, how are they doing over there? Chapter 770. Magical Amy reappears so far. Adam recommended 3 people to Carolyn. The first one was Mrs. Davidson. Her husband was killed by a stray cyclist on his way to work because of the damn death baby race. The originally happy family of 3 was broken up in an instant. The widow and daughter were left with the husband who had kissed goodbye in the morning. The brain-dead body was dismembered, and the heart, lungs, liver, kidneys, corneas and even skin were removed to save other patients. At the beginning, even Christina, who was the most indifferent and the most positive about the operation, did not dare to face the extremely sad widow and daughter. It was Adam who went there. Afterwards, Adam, who couldn't bear it, secretly called Carolyn and asked Caroline to help the mother and daughter in the name of the Ellis Charity Foundation. He provided a donation of $50,000 to help Mrs. Davidson, who was unable to bury her deceased husband, solve the burial problem and the living problems for a period of time. If Mrs. Davidson was willing to work, Carolyn would also provide special training. Mrs. Davidson chose to work. Caroline introduced, because of our timely help, she is very devout and believes that good people will be rewarded. She works very hard in the nursing department. If there is expansion in the future, I intend to promote her to become the director of the branch. That's great. Adam smiled with relief. What about Mr. Gale? Is he still there? Mr. Gale was the ruthless man who couldn't resist the temptation of his stepmother and came to Adam to perform chemical castration in order to avoid any ethical tragedy. Adam saw that he had such a strong sense of morality and was not ordinary, so he recommended him to go there. But at that time he was preparing to go to college. Gale will come here in his spare time. Caroline smiled and said, he is good at doing things. But you also know what college students are like. You don't know what will happen tomorrow. What will happen in the future we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, Adam nodded. This kind of thing depends entirely on your own will, but he has a very strong sense of morality. If he doesn't change in the future, he will be a good helper for you. I think so too, Caroline agreed. What about Mr. Dorn? Adam asked. Mr. Dorn was the middle-aged African-American who had been with his seriously ill son for 2 years, and finally collapsed and chose to abandon his son in the hospital and leave by himself. Adam saw him hiding outside the hospital for a long time and couldn't bear to leave, so he gave him a chance. He is also in the nursing department, and his son Ben was arranged to live in Happy Home, a child welfare organization under Ellis Charity. Jean, Caroline introduced. He and a nurse who takes care of Ben in Happy Home have some feelings for each other, and maybe they can rebuild a family soon. That's a good thing. Adam nodded. The reason why Mr. Dorn completely collapsed before was because he was alone with his child for 2 years without any communication. For a middle-aged man, this is definitely a very torturous thing. In addition, he was mentally tortured by watching his son seriously ill and helpless every day. He was able to bear it for 2 years, which was beyond 90% of the people in the world. Now his son is taken care of by someone, and the one who takes care of him is a woman who can communicate with him, and the 2 kinds of torture are instantly dissipated. It goes without saying that compared to the difficult decision of whether to leave or stay outside the hospital before, he must feel very fortunate and happy now. I just hope he cherishes the present and passes this happiness to more people. I think he will. Caroline smiled and said, Jenny is also a very loving person, otherwise she would not come to work at Happy Home. The salary here is just average, and it can't be compared with those large charities. It can be increased as appropriate in the future. Adam suggested, charity cannot be done only by love, but should solve their worries and let them realize their self-worth with peace of mind. There are actually many idealists like Carolyn in the world of American TV series, but when it conflicts with reality, there are not many who can continue to persist. and these things cannot be done by Carolyn alone, and more full-time caregivers must be hired to help. Of course, Caroline chose those who are loving, but we still have to carefully consider the issue of remuneration, and we can't always let these loving people generate electricity for love, otherwise, one day, these loves without positive feedback will burn out. I know, Caroline explained, but the salary can't be set too high, otherwise it would be putting the cart before the horse. Charity funds rely on donations, and according to general practice, 10% of the donations will be used to pay for the operation of the foundation. Among them, the salary expenditure of employees is the largest part. Charity funds have a small influence, so the amount of donations that can be raised is small, and 10% will naturally not be much. There is nothing to say, but charity funds have a great influence, and the amount of donations that can be raised every year is very huge. The proportion of 10% will cause those who do charity to get more than those who donate. This is embarrassing. People come to do charity and help more people in need, not to support uncles. There is a question of degree involved here. Carolyn's idea is to pay wages based on the income of ordinary people, and increase the money if they do well. There is room for improvement, but the range will not be too exaggerated. It is enough to let the staff have enough food and clothing, and don't even think about squandering luxury cars and villas. If you can't spend it, save it and lay the foundation for accepting more people in need in the future. I won't deliberately spend 10% of the donations on a spree. Yeah, Adam nodded and said, we have to grasp the balance. Let me ask Juno to do a special study on this topic to find out how to balance this balance to the greatest extent. Hee. Carolyn couldn't help laughing. What's wrong? Adam said in surprise. You think this is a bad idea? Believe me, Juno is very professional in this. Of course I know Juno is the most professional in psychology. Caroline smiled and said, I'm laughing because you and Juno are really in tune with each other. Juno told me last night that I believe there will be a reasonable system designed to balance love and humanity in the near future. One is Adam's good friend, the other is Adam's best friend. The two of them naturally know each other. Every holiday, Juno will call Caroline and invite her to come, but Carolyn prefers to spend the holidays with the elderly, children, women and children under the Ellis Charity Foundation. According to her words, they need her more, especially at this time. This is a touching detail of Caroline's philosophy of treating the elderly, the weak, women and children in need as family members. Juno admires Carolyn like this very much, and looking at what Juno has done, Carolyn naturally regards her as a close friend. Really? Adam also smiled. I was wondering why I didn't know. Last night he was busy chatting with Kate during a physical examination. Because of Kate's special identity, even though he slept soundly afterwards, Adam still interrupted his nightly phone chat with Juno. If Kate heard some of the words, it would not be good after all. As they were talking, a strange yet familiar figure suddenly appeared in Adam's field of vision, causing his eyes to shrink, because this face was so shocking. Amazing Amy. Chapter 771. This is a Lioness Medical Center. Adam caught a glimpse of Amazing Amy. This feeling almost made him instantly transform into his half-brother. Howard, who suddenly appeared in front of him, lowered his voice and shouted to Bernie, Ju, behind him, come on, something strange is happening here. Fortunately, Juno is not behind him now. He is not a weakling, Howard, and he believes in Juno. His weird and extremely dangerous ex-girlfriend should not appear in front of him again. Then the situation is very clear. The woman in front of him who looks exactly like Amazing Amy should just look like her. There is nothing to be nervous about. But even though he thought so, Amazing Amy still left a deep impression on him. Therefore, Adam was still very uncomfortable with this person who looked exactly like her appearing next to him. As Juno said, he is no longer the same person as before. When encountering problems, Adam now needs to face the problems and solve them instead of avoiding them. Thinking of this, Adam took a step and followed quietly. He wanted to see who this person was. Hi, Derek. Hi, Mara. After Adam followed, he saw from a distance that this wonderful Amy walked to Dr. Shep's office. After knocking on the door, she hugged Dr. Shep, who opened the door, and they seemed to have a very close relationship. When he heard the name Mara, Adam's memory instantly jumped to the professional guardian Mara Grayson mentioned by Kate. Adam's heart moved. Could it be her? But Adam did not continue to move forward. There are no secrets in the hospital. Since this Mara appeared, there will always be people gossiping. Adam will naturally know who she is by then. In any case, if it is not necessary, Adam still thinks it is best not to meet this wonderful Amy. The facts are as expected. In the afternoon, Adam heard the news calmly. Dr. Shept saw that it was Mara Grayson, the girlfriend of Kate's colleague Frankie, and the rising star of professional guardianship who was suspected of having a profit transfer with Judge Judy Loomis. As for how it was spread, it's very simple. After Mara left, Dr. Shept performed surgery and entered the chat time, and a nurse asked specifically about gossip. The question Dr. Shept, "Is she your new girlfriend?" made Dr. Shept break down, and he hurriedly explained the whole story. Dr. Shept knew the power of gossip, and he didn't want to be spread because of his vague answer, and then caused Meredith, who was reconciling, to think too much. They have a common friend, Dr. Karen Amos. Dr. Amos was Dr. Shep's classmate before, and now he has his own clinic and works as a community doctor. After Dr. Shep came to New York, the old classmates got in touch. And because Mara has a close relationship with Dr. Amos, is very good at dealing with people, and has extraordinary charm, she soon developed into a good friend of Dr. Shept. She came here this time just to say hello. Dr. Shept also mentioned her orientation vaguely. In the world of American TV series, there are too many doppelgangers who look exactly the same but are completely two different lives. For example, Matthew's doppelganger is an advertising actor with a mustache. Lily's doppelganger is a dancer. Ted's doppelganger is a Mexican wrestler who beats up robots. Robin's doppelganger is a female man who throws baseballs and spits in the street. This is the case with a single American TV series, not to mention that this is a mixed world of American TV series, movies and TV series. Barney Stinson, although he is very successful in New York, his doppelganger has a strong connection with Adam. That's right, Barney's doppelganger is one of Wonderful Amy's admirers. If it weren't for Adam, Wonderful Amy would have played a tragic role in the future. After Adam confirmed that the other party was not Wonderful Amy, he didn't take it to heart. He worked normally until the evening, finished Alice Gray's special cooking, and returned to the apartment. Then he called Juno and told her this as a joke. "Juno, you can't guess who I met today." "You said her name is Mara Grayson." Juno laughed and teased on the other end of the phone, but was surprised when she heard the name of the magical Amy's doppelganger. "Why, have you heard of her?" Adam was stunned. "I have heard of it," Juno said playfully. "She and we really have a connection. I only heard Caroline mention her before, but I didn't expect her to look like that. Now I finally have a picture." "Carolyn?" Adam frowned. "Are you saying that Mara and Caroline have a conflict?" "This Mara came to Ellis Nursing Home to apply for a job as a caregiver," Juno explained, "because she looks very deceptive. Carolyn is very optimistic about her and takes her in person. But after she became familiar with the whole process, she began to propose a genius cooperation proposal to Carolyn. She has obtained a professional guardian license and can be a professional guardian. At that time, she will be responsible for attracting customers, and Carolyn will be responsible for providing resources in the early stage. The two sides will cooperate to make Ellis Nursing Home bigger and stronger step by step. Start with a nursing home, and then develop into a complete nursing home industry chain, including real estate companies, professional guardian training companies, medical companies, and pharmaceutical companies. Of course, the professional Pizza Hut legal team is also indispensable. Later, hundreds of shell branches were established overseas, invoicing each other, concealing profits, and legally evading taxes to form a multinational conglomerate. Of course, she wanted half of the shares. After all, traffic and operation are king. Carolyn refused without hesitation and dismissed her. Soon, Carolyn heard her again. What's annoying is that the slogan she put out was completely plagiarized from Carolyn's I Care. She imitated Carolyn on various occasions to create the image of a great philanthropist, which was very deceptive. This is also a talent. Adam sighed. Let's not talk about getting something for nothing. Just talk about her ambition. She has nothing, but she dares to imagine establishing a large multinational conglomerate. And the key is that she looks good. It's also very dangerous, Juno reminded. Carolyn met her later and questioned her. Do you know what she said? What did she say? Adam asked. She said without any guilt that fair competition was invented by the rich to keep the poor from turning over. Juno had obviously figured out Mara Grayson's psychology and imitated her. I'm poor, but this trick can't fool me, because there are only two kinds of people in this world. One is the one who exploits others. The other is the one who is exploited. Predators and prey, lions and sheep. I'm not a sheep, I'm a fucking lioness. Chapter 772 Magical Amy. No matter which me I am always a tough guy. Adam heard Juno's vivid imitation of Mara Grayson's words and tone on the other end of the phone, and immediately felt that this doppelganger of Amazing Amy was really a tough character. What does Carolyn think? Adam asked. No idea, Juno said. This Mara Grayson is not an isolated case. She is just a typical microcosm. Maybe we can try to uncover her true face. Adam pondered. Let more people know about this kind of thing, and have more options. Are you sure? Juno smiled and said, the water here is too deep. How are you going to reveal her true face? Maybe we can secretly reveal the news to Sandra. She is a hard-headed and naive reporter. She must be very interested in this dark side of society. Adam had an idea, but he was interrupted by Juno before he finished speaking. Forget it. Why should we get involved in this kind of thing? Juno yawned on the other end of the phone. If you have the time, you might as well save a few more people. It's getting late. Let's talk about it later. Yeah, okay. Adam immediately understood, chatted for a while, and hung up the phone. This was what the two had agreed on before. As time went by and technology became more and more advanced, Adam and Juno both took their awareness of information confidentiality to a higher level. Adam had seen it before. Juno was far-sighted, although the phone was a special confidential phone. But even if it was confidential, there were still concerns. It didn't matter if it was not too confidential, but if it was extremely confidential and was eavesdropped, it would be a pure handle for others. Adam and Juno would naturally not do such a stupid thing. When it comes to talking about confidential matters, they always have a face-to-face meeting. The next day, Adam met Juno and Karen, who came from Boston. Sandra is not suitable. The two walked side by side in Central Park. Karen followed behind, and Juno continued the unfinished topic yesterday. She was originally an accidental success. Once you hinted that she investigated Mara Grayson, let's not talk about other things. Mara Grayson's appearance will immediately direct her attention to Amy, who is playing somewhere. Isn't this looking for trouble? I just mentioned it casually at the time. Adam thought of it last night and smiled bitterly. But Sandra is not suitable. It doesn't mean that others are not suitable. It's also mysterious. Juno shook his head and said, first of all, let's make it clear that we will not get involved deeply. Of course. Adam nodded. There is no irreconcilable conflict between him and this magical Amy's doppelganger. And Caroline also said that this is a problem of underlying construction. Not the case of Mara Grayson. They are all law-abiding citizens. For such a chronic disease that cannot be solved by individuals, it would be stupid to rush to the front line. If it really comes to that, it is estimated that it will be another story of Liu Ziyu, son of the plane, fighting Wang Mang, traveler. Since we are not going to get involved deeply, we can only try to get involved indirectly. Juno analyzed. We can indeed secretly reveal this news to an ambitious reporter, but we must find evidence for this kind of thing. Otherwise it will be considered as alerting the enemy. And how can evidence be so easy to find? You should have heard Carolyn talk about their process, right? Generally, they target lonely elderly people who have no relatives. They work with the elderly's attending physicians, and use the excuse of emergency as an excuse that the elderly have signs of Alzheimer's disease, no one to take care of them, and cannot live a normal life. Without the elderly appearing in court to testify, they directly award the guardianship to a professional guardian. In this judgment, the attending physician who gave the medical judgment is one of our own. The judge who gave the final judgment and appointed the professional guardian is also one of our own. As long as you can't find evidence that the attending physician and the judge accepted bribes, this is a completely legal judgment. Then it's the elderly's side. She will use the judgment issued by the court as evidence, and directly bring the police to the door and take the confused elderly away. The candidates were carefully selected. They were all good and civilized people who had never caused any trouble in their lives. They were first shocked by the court verdict, and then intimidated by the police in the distance. They could only be taken away obediently in confusion. When they arrived at their nursing homes, they took away their mobile phones directly, and required access control. What ability did the elderly have to resist? Then they would quickly take over the elderly's property, empty the house, and auction it off. Without the consent of the guardian, ordinary reporters could not approach the elderly at all, and it was difficult to obtain evidence. Moreover, once they found that someone wanted to investigate, they would be desperate and directly force the elderly to take medicine. If they didn't have Alzheimer's disease, they would be forced to take medicine to make them have Alzheimer's disease. At that time, the elderly who couldn't say anything would still have to follow the guardian's words. They would not be afraid of the lawsuit no matter where it went. Even though Adam had heard it before, he still felt a chill on his back when he heard it again, and sighed. These Mars really deserve to die. Indeed, they deserve to die. Juno glanced at Adam. But even if this Mara is gone, there will always be thousands of Maras. The benefits here are really too great. The people they targeted were all respectable people who were successful in their careers, rich and educated. Their life accumulation was like a treasure trove, which they could take as they pleased. As Mara said, in this hunt, these independent old people who had accumulated their life accumulation were all sheep, and they were the fucking lionesses who hunted and chewed blood at will. Is there any good way? Adam looked at Juno. Even if we can't get rid of all this garbage, it's a great good thing to get rid of one and let the world know that there is such a thing and be more careful. Juno couldn't help laughing and joked, I think you are just unhappy with her face. Does it remind you of the drama life in high school? Ahem. Feeling that Karen behind him was also looking over, Adam coughed lightly and said awkwardly, there is no such thing as a drama life. And it's not against this face, I just hate this cancer from the perspective of an ordinary person. Okay. Juno smiled and said, to be honest, we are also unhappy with this Mara Grayson. She is best at targeting independent women. 90% of the cases she takes over are old ladies. Why should women make things difficult for women? She also likes women, Adam muttered. However, under the gaze of Juno and Karen, he immediately switched from low egg to high egg and smiled and said, I mean she embarrassed you. Jushiran said, the traitors are more hateful than the real devils. Mara Grayson is an independent woman and a lesbian. She bullies almost all independent women. In the eyes of Juno and others, she is a complete traitor. It's so hateful. P.S. The chapter name is too long to be written. This chapter is for the leader. It's fun to travel through the plains, and it will be updated for their reward during the Chinese New Year. The 3 chapters of the leader, it's important to do things again and again, will be updated. Starting tomorrow, 1 chapter will be updated every day. Chapter 773 Little Red Riding Hood delivers to Central Park. She's not embarrassing us. Juno rolled her eyes at Adam. Not even embarrassing. With her behavior, she's not even human. A wolf in human skin. Karen added a rare sentence. She said she was a lioness. Adam kindly reminded. The kind that eats sheep. Anyway, she's not human. Juno said leisurely. Alas, those with this face are all wolf killers. Adam couldn't help but sigh. Juno couldn't help but laugh. Karen also smiled, revealing a beautiful little white teeth. Our Little Red Riding Hood specializes in dealing with this kind of big bad wolf. Adam seemed to hear the voices of Juno and Karen in his mind. Thinking that this might be a double kill, he laughed inexplicably. Look at the multiple bodies of Magic Amy. Why are they all wolf killers, and there is not a single good person? Is there any good way? Adam laughed for a while and got back to the topic. It's not a good idea. Juno shook her head and said, the main thing is that we can't be exposed. We can only use the opponent's strength to fight the opponent. Doesn't she like to eat the whole family? There is a saying in the East that if you walk too much at night, you will encounter ghosts. We can definitely help her increase the probability. As long as you are willing, you can do a super double. It should be no problem. You know, this is the United States. This is still New York. Adam understood immediately and couldn't help but add with a smile. In the American TV world, The United States is the center of the multiverse, and New York is the center of the multiverse. When aliens attack, they seem to be hit by the taunt skill in all focus here. This is also a first-class sin city. There are all kinds of people in it, with Mara Grayson's arrogant way of fishing in troubled waters. Sooner or later he will touch a crocodile, or even a prehistoric giant crocodile. Think about it and you will know. She is staring at an independently wealthy old lady or a rich old man. It may not be a big deal if it is in other places, because she would do her homework in advance, carefully screen, and temporarily eliminate the candidates who might break her teeth, to ensure that she could easily swallow this fat sheep with her strength. But this is the center of the multiverse. There are all kinds of existences. God knows whether these rich old men and women who look fine are some ruthless characters, or have relatives of ruthless characters. God of war, Dragon King, King of soldiers, underworld bosses. Nothing is impossible except what you can't think of. The key is that these people can seclude here, or arrange their relatives here, which is covered up by special means. On the outside, they look like the most law-abiding legal citizens. As long as they are not targeted by the tax bureau, there will be no problem. Evil people will be punished by evil people. Juno smiled. What if two evil people form gangs? Adam suddenly thought of a question. Listening to Juno's retelling of Mara Grayson's ambitions last night, there is really a lot of potential here. It is possible that they will get to know each other and form an alliance. One is responsible for the open, the other is responsible for the secret. Then the expansion will grow exponentially. If we don't do it, they will run into each other sooner or later. Juno analyzed. They will form cliques sooner or later. And do you think there are no such things now? We are just reminding the world. As for how they choose, it is not something we can control. After all, this is the freedom they value more than life. Yeah, Adam nodded. It was not his turn to worry about such things. Don't worry, Juno smiled and said. Our goal is to establish Mara Grayson as an example. It's not difficult. If you are worried that she will hook up with the bad guys, just send a few more bad guys over. A bad guy may swallow his anger for the sake of profit. But among multiple bad guys, there is always one who is passionate and irritable. How can he not take revenge when his family is bullied? Even if he is interested in this benefit, can he not do this business without Mara Grayson? How is it possible? Adam laughed dumbly. Don't joke. The world can turn around without Mara Grayson. That's it. Juno smiled and said, generally, such bad guys value their families very much. If they have a little bit of passion, they will first retaliate against the enemies who tortured their families. You know, if he didn't have a little ability, his family would really be dragged from heaven to hell by Mara. If you can laugh off such a big grudge, what will others think when they know? What will his subordinates think? Even if he openly boasts that business comes first and a real man can bend and stretch, but deep down, will he think that he is a coward, or feel that even if he is betrayed, it is actually no big deal and there is still room for maneuver? For people like them, this kind of thing has already involved their dignity and can even threaten their life and death. One is a matter of dispensability and the size of the benefit. The other is an emotional issue, a matter of life and death. Only a fool would choose the former. Would someone who arranges himself or his family like this be a fool? No, Adam teased. Unless the other party has been given a halo of reduced intelligence, otherwise he will know how to choose. There are not so many halos of reduced intelligence. Juno laughed dumbly. This is the real world, not a fantasy world made up by writers and screenwriters like novels and movies. Reality is more magical than fiction. Adam said that classic quote. It doesn't matter. Juno smiled. As long as we think more about it and block the possibility of fabrication in advance, no matter how magical it is, we have to abide by the rules of reality. I will first find out which attending physician suppliers this Mara Grayson has, and then screen the target from this group of attending physician suppliers. Adam pondered. Come and help me screen at that time to ensure that there will be no mistakes and to select the most suitable one. Yeah, Juno nodded and added, if these attending physician suppliers cannot be screened, then expand the scope, and then find a way to move the target to the jurisdiction of these attending physician suppliers. and remind them that the fat sheep has come to the door. I think the expression of this Mara Grayson when she sees the fat sheep at the door, Adam smiled. Most likely her eyes will light up. I hope that when she finds that she has met a tough guy, she will not give in immediately. No, Juno smiled. She is a lioness, and there is no such thing as giving up in her dictionary. She said that to succeed in this country, you must be brave, focused, ruthless, and even stupid and reckless, because fair competition, being timid, will get nothing except failure. I really want to see how brave and foolish she will be, Adam imagined. We won't be able to see it, Juno reminded, because it has nothing to do with us. Yes, Adam nodded and smiled. We are just a simple and enthusiastic citizen. Chapter 774. The show begins. Adam and Juno started to collect information about Mara Grayson. It was easy to check. Just check the court records. Mara Grayson was indeed a rising star in the professional guardianship field. In a short period of time, she had a long list of impressive records. Numbers were not deceiving, although not every case was medically certified by Dr. Karen Amos, and not every case was pronounced by Judge Judy Loomis. These two accounted for 80% to 90% of these records, which was still too eye-catching. It seems that she is really smart. Juno smiled and said, not all of them are old ladies living alone. There are also many who have children, and these children are typical unfilial children. This is indeed a good cover. Yeah, Adam nodded. These unfilial children also further prove the necessity of their professional guardians. It is difficult to distinguish between the true and the false, and it also gives the attending doctors and judges more favorable room for operation. Now it seems that she is still in the initial stage, Juno analyzed. Only this Dr. Karen Amos can be sure to be in cahoots with her. She went to your hospital, most likely to accumulate connections and want to expand her own attending doctor suppliers. Most likely, Adam sighed. He was not worried that Dr. Shept would go down this path. Dr. Shept looked like a family with a mind, and with his own ability, money and other things could not impress him at all. However, Mara Grayson could use her relationship with Dr. Shept to make friends with more attending doctors. Dr. Shept would not fall, but other doctors might not. Let's do it as soon as possible, Juno comforted. We won't let her corrupt more doctors and tarnish the noble profession of doctors. Yes, Adam was shocked. Let's take Dr. Karen Amos as the sender and screen the elderly living alone near her. Leave it to me, Juno suggested. I'll go to Caroline and ask her to collect information about the elderly living alone in New York on the pretext of writing a paper with her identity. It will be more legitimate. Good idea. Adam's eyes lit up. Juno is studying the system design that balances love and humanity for Caroline. She needs information about the elderly living alone in New York. It's reasonable to use this to discuss the importance of this matter. And Caroline is in the elderly care business. It's normal for her to understand the market. After getting it, Adam and his team will analyze the information near Dr. Karen Amos's clinic separately. If there is no suitable one, use this as the sender and slowly expand the scope, unnoticed. Although Adam seemed to be at the forefront this time, Juno and Karen had taken over almost everything without him noticing. Adam couldn't help laughing and crying when he thought about this during his normal work every day. A week later, Juno and Karen finally got all the information and picked out the information near Dr. Karen Amos's clinic. It was a big pile. Adam finally played a role at this time. He remembered all the information about these people, then he kept comparing them in his brain, looking for possible clues and conducting preliminary screening. Wherever you go, there must be traces. Adam's superbrain can screen out clues in the shortest time. It's hard to say about the future, but at this moment, Adam's brain is definitely better than a computer. Soon, 7 innocent and honest suspects were found. Then Adam picked out these 7 people and analyzed and compared them with Juno. In the next week, Juno and Karen followed up, putting aside the paper information. If these people really have problems, no matter how hard they try to cover it up, they must have an aura that is different from ordinary people. And it will definitely not escape Juno's eyes. That's her, Juno said affirmatively. Jennifer Peterson. Adam checked the other party's information. She moved here from Chicago a year ago and bought a high-end villa in the Williams community with full payment. She has excellent credit, no bad records, no debts, no criminal record, and has never been married. She has worked in a financial company in Chicago for 40 years and has 3 savings accounts that earn her high interest every year. She likes watching movies, reading, and gardening. She lives a perfect independent female life. It's indeed like this on paper. Juno smiled. Even if you meet her, you will probably feel the same way, but only if you really observe her patiently can you understand from the occasional ruggedness and coldness she exudes that she is not a simple good person, but a very dangerous existence. People in finance also have such an aura, right? Adam hesitated. Just like Martin Channing, that's the real king of killers. Believe me, it's different. Juno shook his head and put a newspaper in front of Adam. I knew you were worried about finding the wrong person, so after confirming that there was something wrong with her, I went to collect all the information about her. Surprise, surprise, this old lady is not Jennifer Peterson at all. The real Jennifer Peterson died of polio 60 years ago when she was 3 months and 9 days old. This is the obituary at that time. She stole the identity of the deceased girl. Adam suddenly realized, this method is very clever. Juno reminded, passport, driver's license, work relationship, and tax records that can be traced back 40 years have washed away all traces of the real Jennifer Peterson, including her death certificate. If it weren't for this old newspaper, in the official records, she didn't have polio at all, lived to the age of 18 in good health, went to college, worked, and retired now. Perfect record. Even if there is no one behind her, this is a super criminal with super ability, and she is the kind who has seen blood. Sending her to Mars site will definitely be a wonderful drama. What a pity. Adam looked at the old newspaper and shook his head. We can't witness this scene with our own eyes. With your imagination, the characters and plots are all there, and you still can't imagine that scene? Juno teased. It's different. Adam laughed. How can imagination be as wonderful as the real performance in reality? Be content. Karen couldn't help complaining, and said sarcastically, how about we risk our lives to follow and film it on the spot, so that you can see it with your own eyes? I'm just saying it casually. Adam hurriedly smiled. Just imagine it. Be content. Very content. He himself did almost nothing. It was Juno and Karen who were busy running around, so how could he be picky and unsatisfied? Here, Adam and his team had done the preliminary work and locked on the target Jennifer Peterson. Over there, the attending Dr. Karen Amos, under Juno's secret guidance, cast her eyes on the fat sheep in her hands. You don't know until you check, and you'll be shocked when you check. This is simply an unprecedented fat sheep, compared with Jennifer Peterson. The previous ones were just a small fight. Moreover, with this order, she could change her weak position of just getting a share of the profits. She could use it to ask for the shares of Golden Light Nursing Home held by Mara and become a shareholder who could get dividends and eat meat. Mara, it's me. Is there any vacant bed at Golden Light Nursing Home? I have good news to tell you. After thinking it over again and again, Karen Amos couldn't resist the greed in her heart and called Mara Grayson. Chapter 775. The gradually approaching doppelganger of magical Amy Wolf. The matter of destroying the doppelganger has come to an end. All the plans have been made. The rest is up to time. If Jennifer Peterson is not ruthless enough, then she can find another ruthless one. Anyway, the center of the multiverse is not short of ruthless people. Adam and his team hide behind the scenes and push things forward, with almost no risk of being exposed, as long as you don't learn from those villains who think they have the advantage and are sure to win, and have to show up in person, blah blah blah, and tell the other party all your plans, giving the other party a chance to counterattack. It is easy to dodge an open attack, but difficult to guard against an arrow from the dark. Mara Grayson can dodge it once, but not every time. Adam and his team can come as many times as they want. Juno and Karen returned to Boston. Adam received a call from Ted. At night, old friend's bar. Matthew moved his body bit by bit like a zombie, trying to raise the beer glass, and cried out in pain, damn it, I won't go again. Come on, this is just the beginning. Don't give up. Fitness is good for both of us. Ted encouraged him. I called Adam. Let him help you later. Fitness coaches are professional. They won't train you to death. You make it easy. It's not you who was almost killed. Matthew was in pain all over. and could only let Lily feed him beer, crying out in grievance. Then he felt something was wrong, and looked at Ted in surprise. "Hey, it's not right. You also work out together. Why is there nothing wrong?" Ted's heart skipped a beat, and when he saw Adam coming, he immediately raised his hand and called, "Adam, this way." Then he changed the subject. "Hurry up and let Adam help you." Adam. Matthew's attention was diverted smoothly, and he turned his head with difficulty to look at Adam, a big man of 1.93 meters, who was about to cry in grievance. "What's wrong?" Adam was also startled. "It's all Tracy." Matthew gritted his teeth and shouted a name. His fitness coach, a very tough female coach. Lily shrugged. "More than tough," Matthew shouted. "She is a devil." "Adam, you know what? When I first went there, she asked me to do 100 push-ups directly for the first time. I thought it was a rhetoric, but it wasn't. I hesitated a little, and she pretended to smell it in front of me, and then said, 'Do you smell it?' It seems that there is a little bitch in my gym." Then her petite body seemed to swell up infinitely, and she yelled at me. I tried my best to do 70, but she actually. At this point, Matthew choked and couldn't continue, and then burst into tears. Adam's mouth twitched. "Sure enough, there is only a wrong name, not a wrong nickname. Marshmallow Chief Justice. It's really a marshmallow." She only counted 10 for him. Lily stroked Matthew's back sympathetically and explained to Adam, "And she made him cry once before in the gym." "I didn't want to do that either." Matthew felt wronged and choked up, but she went too far. "I had already done 100 sit-ups, and she said, 'Okay, Matthew, just one more set.' So I gathered all the remaining strength and did another set. But then she said to me, 'One more set.' So I asked her, 'Is this the last set?' She said yes. Then I desperately did another set, and then she did it again. She lied to my face." Ouch. At this point, Matthew was very excited and wanted to wave his arms, but he cried out in pain, "My whole body hurts." "Why did you think of going to the gym?" Adam found it funny and laughed while checking Matthew. "It's all Ted's fault." Matthew looked at Ted, when he ordered takeout and ran to the bedroom to get the money. He was so out of breath that he didn't even bother to run to the bedroom to get the coupon. The delivery guy's look hurt him, so he suggested that we all work out together. "I'm afraid it wasn't the delivery guy's look that hurt him," Adam joked. "It wasn't me." Annie had been married to Ted and had experienced the Helltown incident, so she was very familiar with Adam. She imitated Adam's tone and said seriously, "I didn't. Don't talk nonsense. Ha ha ha, ha ha, oh, ha, ha." Lily, Matthew, and Ted all laughed, but their smiles were different. Lily laughed the most exaggerated. Matthew laughed until his sore muscles pulled and he wailed. Ted, on the other hand, smiled without any smile and looked at his wife Anna with a complaining look. But then he held Anna's hand, half hugging her in his arms, and laughed out loud. Anna can be so funny, even if it is to tease him. For their situation, it is the greatest happiness. "Matthew, you're fine." After checking, Adam smiled and said, "Just take a good rest." You all heard it. Matthew shouted when he heard this. "This is what the doctor said. I need to rest. I will never go to that damn gym again." "If you don't want to go, then don't go." "Do you really want to?" Adam said with a smile. "He wants to, but he doesn't dare." Lily saw through her husband's cowardice at a glance, and complained, then looked at Matthew. "Do you want me to call for you?" "Thank you, baby. There is her number in the mobile phone. The one with the code name Devil." Matthew immediately admitted his defeat and looked at Lily gratefully. "Hi, Tracy." Lily rolled her eyes, took the phone, gave everyone a confident look, and dialed the number. "I'm Matthew's wife. Listen, we have a problem now, and the problem is you. I don't know who you think you are, but from now on, it's not your turn to tell Matthew what he should do. You are hired by us. You do whatever we tell you to do. And I tell you, you are fired, bitch." Adam and the others gave Lily a thumbs up. "Aha, okay, bye." Lily listened to the other party's words and responded fiercely and casually. But as soon as she hung up the phone, she gave Matthew, who was looking at her admiringly, a blow to the head, and said with guilt and fear, "Baby, you'd better go quickly. She's mad. I'm afraid she will rush over now." Everyone was speechless about Lily's change of expression, especially Matthew. He was about to cry again, but this time he was not wronged or hurt, but afraid. "Okay, give me the phone," Adam laughed dumbly and said. "Let her come over and explain it to her face to face. If she doesn't want to go, then don't go. It's no big deal." "Please." The coward Lily immediately handed the phone to Adam. She just called the other party a bitch. If she didn't solve this problem when Adam was there, she would not dare to go to the gym again. Adam called, said a few simple words, and hung up the phone. He smiled at Matthew and Lily, who were looking at him eagerly. "It's okay. When she comes, just explain it clearly. No matter how fierce she is just a person." At this point, his eyes condensed. He caught a glimpse of a familiar figure. It wasn't the Wolf Slayer doppelganger of Amazing Amy, Mara Grayson. Who else could it be? End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.